Grace and peace, everybody. We are back. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title, but then you didn't see a thumbnail, then you didn't see a title, but now you see a new thumbnail. Y'all, it's always going to be something, man. Technology is the great equalizer. It is always going to keep you humble. It's always going to keep you humble. Your boy was ready to go. Live streaming started and all that kind of good jazz, and it deleted the stream from YouTube. I have no idea what happened. But anyway, we're back. Grace and peace, everybody. Hopefully you all are having an outstanding Friday. We made it. It's Friday. Shout out to those people getting out there, making it happen, driving home from work, all that kind of good jazz, all that kind of good stuff. Grace and peace to y'all. All right, we got to get this stream started here. Now, my guest is supposed to come on at 7 o'clock, but I wanted to jump on because there's been so much material popping off today. Shout out to the moderators. They done shown me so much stuff today. I really, truly was like getting overwhelmed. I was kind of glad I wasn't even at home because there's just so much stuff going on. So we're going to look at maybe one, maybe two of these responses or discussions around She Who Shall Not Be Named, Candace. All right. But anyway, I'm actually resetting the stream so you actually get a thumbnail. I know y'all want a thumbnail because I work hard on these thumbnails. Maybe we working on it, man. Shout out to my editor. So let me get that thumbnail in here for y'all as well. But I know Matt Walsh said something. Megan Kelly has spoke up. Brandon Tatum said something. It's a lot. It's just so much. Okay, but I'm going to put him in triage order. I did watch Brandon Tatum's, and I'm so less... can we see you? I think so. Yeah, can we see you? Yeah, we see you. I'm very unimpressed with Brandon Tatum. I have heard good things about Matt Walsh. I haven't seen it yet. So what we'll probably do while I'm over here scrambling and making sure that the stream is right, shout out to getting my editing, my studio up to snuff. And we're going to wait for my guest to come on anyway. I think it's reasonable. We can do the Matt Walsh video. And so I think that's what I'm going to do while I'm working on this. We're going to watch it together. I'm not a super big Matt Walsh fan. I do want to say that, but I'm willing to give respect. If somebody does something right, I call it out. I try to call balls and strikes. So I'm willing to say if he does something right or says something that I can rock with, I'm gonna give him credit for sure. So a lot of people have been talking about this one. So they've been hitting me up today about it. So I think that's super cool. Thank y'all so much to everybody. So I'm going to bring in Matt Walsh, and his video was titled, Why I Don't Buy the Charlie Kirk Conspiracy Theories, in this episode 1706. And I want to hear why he doesn't buy into it. So shout out to everybody. I appreciate the chat has been filled up. Looks like 182 of y'all have jumped up in here. Shout out to each of y'all. Y'all know what I like to say. All at Cantifa, come on, get up here close to the front of the church. When my guest comes on and we start debunking Candace's military theories and such like that, I really want y'all to be close by. So come on up here to the front of the church. Appreciate you. Let me make sure y'all can see me properly. All that kind of good jazz like that. That's a little bit too much light. Anyway, everybody, let's get at it. Let's get active. Shout out to the best live chat on the internet. When you can hear, please hit me with that green heart. Oh, and by the way, all members, you notice that we have custom emojis. I don't know if you noticed that, but there's actually a new custom green heart emoji in the chat. So members, you have access to that. So go on and click on that new green heart emoji. Let me see how it looks in the chat throughout the night. So of course, green hearts in the chat when you can hear. Let's get at it. Let's get active. And Mr. Walsh, what you got to say, sir? He has his own candle. I didn't notice that. He has his own candles. Maybe I should get one.
We are only going to talk about one thing today on the show, which is the murder of Charlie Kirk and the conspiracy theories that have been formed around it. I'm going to lay out what I believe to be the clear and obvious and unassailable facts of the case and the conclusion that they inevitably lead to. I'll cover everything as best I can, and although I have long-standing personal friendships with key figures in this story, which makes things more complicated for me personally, I will be totally transparent and honest and say what I believe must be said. What happened 3 months ago, Charlie's brutal murder, and everything that's happened since, pains me, as it does many people, deeply on a personal level. And I'm doing my best to navigate it publicly and privately in a way consistent with my principles and in a way that might have a chance to make some kind of positive difference. Now, on the latter point, in terms of making a positive difference, I may be failing, but if I am, it's not for lack of trying, and that's the truth. You could choose to believe it or not. But enough about me, as this story is most certainly not about me, so let's get to the subject at hand, and I begin with this thought. A great deal of evil in the world can be described and has been described as banal. Happens constantly, often without us realizing it, without thrusting itself in our faces, and without making its perpetrators known to the world. Think of the routine executions that are conducted by the anonymous butchers working on behalf of Planned Parenthood or maid clinics in Canada. Think of the many fraud schemes that are currently being hatched by unknown Somalis in Minneapolis, or the crimes against humanity that are taking place as we speak across the globe in far-off African countries. Now, these are all horrific acts, but we also don't see them happening. We just know that they happen, and they happen so often that, to a certain extent, we take them for granted. And therefore, whether we realize it or not, we can discuss these evils with a certain clarity and calm. Now, the brutal murder of Charlie Kirk was not a banal act of evil. There was nothing routine or mundane about it. Footage of Charlie's public execution was beamed to hundreds of millions of people across the world. His death was far more gruesome than any depiction in a film could ever be, and it was streamed in far higher resolution than any other documented political assassination in the history of the world. Outside of military veterans, many of whom suffer for the rest of their lives because of what they've seen on the battlefield, it's highly unlikely that any of us had ever witnessed the devastating and immediate effects of a sniper shot to a man's neck. I know that I had never seen such a thing, and I certainly had never seen it happen to a friend. But whether you were a friend of Charlie or not, whether you agreed with his politics or not, the point is that you had never seen anything like that event. And then on September 10th, that changed. And what you saw, if you have a conscience at all, changed you. How do normal human beings respond when they're confronted against their will with a sight like that? Well, there's no playbook to follow. There's no precedent to guide us. There's no research or peer-reviewed study that can walk us through it. The honest answer is we have no idea. We figure it out as we go. And some have preferred not to talk about what happened. Others have spoken up as often as they possibly can. And we can now say with some certainty a very large number of people have concocted or come to believe highly incredible theories to explain Charlie's death. Theories that, if true, would defy any semblance of common sense and cause more international incidents than both world wars put together. These kinds of theories can, in many cases perhaps, plausibly be explained, at least in part, as a psychological defense mechanism, a way for many people who are effectively in a state of shock to make sense of something horrible and unprecedented. Conspiracy theories always pop up around tragedies of this sort. Think of the Sandy Hook theories, many other examples. And I believe this happens, and I've said many times, at least in part, because people are trying to take something ghastly and shocking and make it comprehensible by turning it into a kind of cinematic plot line. But over time, as we all know, shock wears off, and eventually the perpetrators of even the most grotesque acts of evil, through the passage of time and the arrival of more information, begin to remind us of the perpetrators of banal acts of evil, the ones we're all familiar with. Especially when they're caught, these killers lose the mystique that they had when they were on the run or when they were squirreled away in solitary confinement somewhere. The reason people still talk about Jack the Ripper while nobody knows the name Gary Ridgway anymore is that Ridgway was identified, arrested, and put on trial. There was a public catharsis. And when something like that happens, we have an opportunity to regain our senses, to understand the threat we face, and to proceed with clear heads and restrained emotions as we work to eliminate the threat and move on with our lives to the extent that it's possible for us to do so. Yesterday, just over 3 months after Charlie Kirk was murdered, one of those moments of public catharsis took place in a courtroom in Utah. The man alleged to be responsible for Charlie's death, Tyler Robinson, appeared in person in court for the first time since the assassination. And note that I say the word alleged only in the journalistic sense that we traditionally use it to describe accused criminals before they're convicted in a court of law. But in reality, from my point of view, Tyler Robinson is not just alleged to be the killer. He is the killer.
Right.
His guilt is plain as day. And I will explain why in a moment. Now, during his appearance, Robinson repeatedly grinned and smiled as if he was enjoying himself. This is a man who has clearly benefited from the many fanciful stories that have been told about Charlie's death. His expression is the demonic grin of a sociopath. It's a grin that we've seen from many other sociopaths over the years, from Luigi Mangione to Brian Koberger. It's familiar. And therefore, the images from the courtroom yesterday are not confounding or shocking. They're sobering. And they aren't particularly difficult to decode. Now, at the risk of understatement, this does not look like footage of a man who's being framed for murder or somebody who's terrified and confused. He looks a lot like many other narcissistic, sociopathic murderers who've been in the exact same position. You know, there's been a lot of conversation about vibes and feelings, people claiming that various figures involved in this saga give off bad vibes or give them a weird feeling. Needless to say, vibes and feelings do not constitute evidence of anything. But it's worth asking anyway. What kind of vibe does Tyler Robinson give off? Can anyone honestly say you get the vibe that this is an innocent man being railroaded by powerful forces involved in a global conspiracy? To say nothing of his parents, who certainly are not giving off the vibes of parents who know that their son is being used as a patsy for a crime he didn't commit. This footage should have the effect of focusing your mind and strengthening your resolve after 3 months of speculation and paranoia. It should also motivate you to evaluate, with as much precision and seriousness as possible, the strength of the case against Tyler Robinson. Justice in this case depends on it. And so does perhaps the survival of the conservative political movement, and therefore our country. So the time for wild theorizing is over. Now, of course, as we all know, Candace Owens has been by far the most prominent person to push alternative theories of the case. Candace has been my friend for many years now, but I strongly disagree with her theories about this case. And I've told.
Real quick, everybody, I just want to say shout out to everyone who's hopped in to the best live chat on the internet tonight. We're going to be looking at, I started a little bit early because I wanted to do a little mic check because I was having some tech issues. Y'all see your boys changing some stuff around here, and I need to stop doing that, right? But I also want to make sure I gave my guest an opportunity to kind of get in and get warmed up and all that kind of good stuff like that. He needs to get loose so he can get ready because we got a fun one tonight. So real quick, before we finish up, I do want to introduce you to my guest, if that's okay. Shout out to Green Beret Nap Time. How are you, friend?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
Hey, quite well, sir. Grace and peace to you, man. Good to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by on this evening. Now, if you've been following him on X, he has been just all over the place, explaining and bringing light to confusing areas that us civilians, us water gun G.I. Joes and G.I. Janes, we don't know all this stuff. So shout out to you. Thank you so much for coming in and being willing to share and give some of your expertise. I was watching Matt Walsh kind of clear the air from some of this foolishness, but since you're here, if you don't mind, you might tell us a little bit about yourself and what's Green Beret Nap Time?
So it's an inside joke in the community.
I got a bad feeling I know what it is, but
no, it's not anything. Most people think it means like something along the lines of dirt nap or something like that. No, it's actually a lot lighter. It's after the rock star style like status of being a Green Beret, going out and partying all night and hanging out with women and all that good stuff. The next day during the duty day, you need to take a GB&T or Green Beret Nap Time so that you can make it through the rest of the duty day because of the whole lifestyle joke. So that's what the thing, like, that's what it goes back to, but it really is just it's just an inside joke that we like after you've been working for a little bit that day, you might be like, "Ooh, I need a GB&T," or something. It's just a little inside joke like that. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad. Well, I don't know if you're gonna need one tonight because this is a crazy video we got. All right, so real quick, tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background, and why in the world should we listen to you?
I mean, listen to whoever you want to, but there's a lot of people out there that are talking about things that they don't have any expertise in. I joined the Army in 2010, did 13 or almost 14 years in, 10 of that in Special Forces, and sorry, I got the dogs going crazy out there. 10 of that in Special Forces. The last 3 I taught a higher level planning course that was heavy into like how theater level operations are going to use propaganda and information operations to sway the populace before any kind of forces are going to even enter. So that kind of opened my eyes to just everything that we're seeing today and all these different narratives that get pushed day in and day out. And from there, I just I started this account, and really this account just was me just arguing with people at first. It's like,
right.
Hey, like there's an avenue here to like maybe
people argue on Twitter. No way.
Oh, no way, right?
No way.
And then I started writing, doing some articles on stuff and threads on stuff, and it kind of blew up, and here we are. So,
well, I appreciate you for sure. All right, how did you get on to this particular? My first introduction to you was, I don't remember whose channel you were on, but I was traveling back from my in-laws' house, and you were just crushing it. She was just giving you all these particular issues that were going on. Theories that been put out by Candace.
Yeah, man.
Colonel Kurtz?
Yeah, Colonel Kurtz.
Okay, it was Colonel Kurtz. Okay. Yeah. But how did you get onto this particular story?
I mean, I just kind of look at the narratives that are being pushed, and then I start picking them apart and researching them. And if it's something that's true, I did a whole big thread on the Vegas shooting. So if I find stuff that, I can verify from at least some sources that, I mean, obviously there's certain things you're never going to get, like this is cold hard proof that this exists, but there's a lot of things that you can get. You can actually have proof alongside it, and we call it a preponderance of evidence is another way you can look at it. And so once you have that, then you can kind of move forward with your thought process. So when I see a narrative being pushed, that's what I do. I just start digging into it and seeing like, okay, what's real? What can be verified about any of this? And with Candace, just none of it can be. She's very good at pushing, like saying all these things and how she has all this proof and like making people think that she's giving you proof, but she's not actually giving you any proof. She's just like, I have the text messages right here. And then she pulls up her phone. She doesn't show the screen or anything.
Never show the screen. Right.
Yeah. And then she's like, and I'll read it right here. Like, well, we don't know what you just read. Like, we don't know. Yeah. So yeah. And then I bounced onto the, I think it was Colonel Kurtz actually that sent me a link to the lawsuit that the Macrones are have against Candace, and it's a
250 pages. I read the whole thing.
Insane, dude. Some insane stuff in there. So did a little write up on that, and just kind of, again, I'm not a lawyer, but hey, a lot of that stuff is pretty cut and dry, and they sent proof, they sent cease and desist, and then she kept going. So like, I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. It's crazy.
She used the evidence that they sent her as her content. That's diabolical. That is diabolical. Yeah. All right. So I want to ask you a very serious question. Am I an assassin because I wear maroon?
Oh man, just chalk that into the list of the dumbest things I've heard in the last few weeks. Like,
so the black hat assassins, that's not a real thing?
No.
Come
I mean, like, so for those of you guys that don't know, airborne operations in the United States Army wears a maroon beret. All right. It's cool and all. Like, it's, there's nothing wrong with it. There's a lot of airborne. It's awesome. It's not the highest tier level of, the military, but whatever. It's a competent light infantry unit, right? Any of them. So whether you're talking the 82nd, whether you're talking whatever, but no one's going out there and buying like maroon shirts to like go along with their berets. Like, that's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my whole life.
So basically what you're saying is that you wouldn't tell us if it was true. That's what you're telling us.
Yeah. Or, like I have a green beret, so I just wear green shirts all the time.
I mean, I like my alumni. I mean, my college's colors are maroon and white. So
Well,
for her to, and I went to an all male college. So for her to say that men don't wear maroon, it has got to be the funniest thing on the
yeah,
planet
talk
because
to
that's
me,
all we
Andy.
wear is maroon.
It's insane. It's insane. Yeah.
So, all right. So we weren't going to talk about, I know I called an audible because when I reached out to you last week, I sent you some questions I wanted to ask about some theories. But then Tuesday, she read this email.
Yeah,
She read this email from this guy.
Yeah.
And it has got to be the wildest story I've ever. Personally, I believe that she's being punked by her tip line. Somebody in the tip line is doing this to her.
Yeah.
So I want to go through this letter that she read, and feel free to chop in and say, I know I sent it to you. I don't know if you had an opportunity to watch it. Oh, you did? Great. Okay,
Yeah.
great. So if there's anywhere particular you're like, Jason, just stop right here and just sit back because I got a lot to say about this. That's fine. But so if you're not familiar, Candace, the story itself already starts out like a Tom Clancy novel. So Candace she goes to church, she's praying and asks God for a sign or some kind of epiphany. Long story short, she ends up opening up her tip line, and there's an email in there saying, hey, you should call John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt because he knows some stuff. She calls him, and it leads to this. It's hard to take her seriously, man. Seriously.
You can't say it with a straight face.
You really can't. And it leads to this multi-hour phone call where she gets all this evidence. She checks and verifies it. Remember that. She always checks and verifies. And the next day, she reads out this email and this long story about drug cartels and people in the Army being put on NDAs. And Brian Harpole was actually in Arizona and not in Asia. By the way, I have a video of Charlie Kirk and him in Asia.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got to stop this, Candace.
It's insane.
All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, you guys, happy Tuesday. Where to begin? Well, in the final days leading up to Charlie Kirk's assassination, Charlie was pretty busy, right? He went on a first-time trip to Asia, quite a quick trip, at least a quick turnaround to go first to Korea for a couple of days and then off to Japan. And honestly, if I was a conspiracy theorist, and I kind of am one, I might think at this stage that the timing of that trip might have been intentional because something was going on back home that they didn't want him to see. Well, what I'm about to tell you guys today is going to positively blow your mind. I just cannot see how this would lead to anything other than a full confession from the government about the military's involvement in his assassination, but I'm just going to deliver the facts and see where they land. Welcome back to Candace.
All right. So I just wanted to let that tease out for a second. How do you feel about the way she gives information and it sounds like she's indicting you by asking you the question?
Notice how she came straight into and was like making it weird that he traveled. He's like the leader of a multi-million-dollar organization now that's like all over the country. It's definitely going to have
all over
ties
the world,
all over the world. You know, so like she's making it so weird that the CEO of this massive organization is now like going and meeting with other people. It's just like, what? Like, yes, this happens all the time, every day.
No doubt. And since you're familiar with propaganda and dare I say some of the psychological things that happens, is the way that she presents information, is that being used as a weapon, even in the way she kind of gives the information, you know, is that being used also as a tactic?
Yeah. And that's more just her as a showman, you know, just like Nick Fuentes, just like somebody, I mean, if you've ever watched, like, Nick Fuentes has kind of a whatever annoying voice, but like if you've watched some of his stuff ever, and I've watched it just so I can get a feel for like how his normal shows have been, and you know just some of the ins and out there, and he has moments where he's funny. He has moments where like he talks about things, and even if you're like only have like 7% of your brain on, then you're like, oh, that kind of makes sense, and then you're like, wait, no, it doesn't. So they're really good. Yeah, they're really good at this, you know, and it's all propaganda tactics. It's marketing tactics. It's all the same kind of thing, right? So they're just, they're good at the way that they present the information. She's good at the way that she flows through it. So it makes it seem more believable.
Yeah, I think it's funny, and shout out to Realtor 2020 right here. Didn't Candace want to go speak in Australia? Like, why is that odd that she wanted to go to Australia and that's fine? Charlie went to Japan, Asia. That's not fine. Like, make that make sense.
None of it makes sense.
And let's just talk about the fact that Candace doesn't do any tours here in the United States. Oh, never mind.
I am just going to tell you guys exactly how everything came about, everything that I'm about to deliver to you. Yesterday was a holy day of obligation in the Catholic Church. It was the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. A day of obligation means that a day in which you are required to attend Mass outside of, obviously, typically Sundays. And so as soon as we concluded this podcast, I grabbed my jacket and I ran out the door. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to stop right here because she makes a lot of hay about Christians who hold fast to the faith, who hold fast to scripture and so on and so forth. She's very mockingly about that. Yesterday, she was super mocking about Christians, but it's very interesting that she makes sure you understand what a day of obligation is because she is super Catholic and she is definitely, I am super religious. And I want you to know that I am so religious. As soon as we turn this camera off, I was out the door to go do my religious spiritual duties. And that's when the light came on and God spoke to me. Like, that's what she's doing with this. But let somebody else say that. She's mocking them. She's wagging her finger. She's making fun. But actually, I think Candace is like an example of like projection. Like, this has got to be a masterclass in projection because she does exactly what she calls you out for doing. Yeah. Exactly.
That's old Marxist tactic too. So, I mean, that's another thing is I don't think Candace is really on the right either. I think she rode some coattails to get to a platform where she needed it. But I mean, she interned for Vogue. That's not something, a big conservative is generally going to go do. I wouldn't think so anyway, but hey, what do I know?
I don't know, Green Beret nap time. You might be my brother from another. Y'all put Green Beret nap time in the chat. I've been saying this from the beginning. I think she's been cosplaying as a Republican or as a right or as a conservative because the reason why she changed from a leftist to a conservative, it didn't make sense. Like, why would you do that? If you held fast to these beliefs, one little hiccup in the road is not causing me to change my beliefs 180. That makes no sense.
Yep.
And so truly, I think she's been cosplaying. She's been a leftist in drag for, now she just quit playing the game, but she's been a leftist in drag for almost a decade. That's it. So let's keep this going. Good catch.
And as I was sitting through Mass, deciding, I guess what was on my mind to pray about, for whatever reason, I got on my knees and I was not expecting this to come out, but I just focused my prayer on wanting something to be delivered to me, a piece of evidence that would help us put together the full picture of this assassination.
I have to stop because it makes me like a little bit angry.
It's cringy.
Let me make sure I have this right. Green Beret nap time. Let's just say that you got word that there is an international hit put out on your life and some very naughty people. They're all wearing maroon, by the way. Shout out to the maroon shirts. I got my maroon right here. Got my maroon. Yeah, I got my ready. And they're not only are they in the state, but they're in your town to do you harm. Dude. You go to church and you pray, God, let me get double coupons when I go to Sprouts today. God, let me find a really good parking spot when I go to the mall to buy my wife that necklace. That's really what I want, God. Is that what you're doing? Or are you like, like what would you be doing in light of that situation?
It's all just such theater. That's what it's just theater. I was praying for a miracle, and then 5 minutes later, I was answered. And this guy with a 35-year, story of WITSEC and all this other stuff, none of which can be proved. Like, again, none of this can be proved. And nor could she have verified any of this in the night between that and her show this morning or whatever. Like, are you kidding me? Do you think Thursday evening, the whatever unit that she's talking about has people that she could just call and be like, hey, did this person work here? And they're like, oh yeah, you sound reputable. I'll tell you. Like,
everything.
It's the stupidest shit I've ever heard. That's why, like, there's no verifying any of this stuff short of a FOIA, which you're not getting in a night. You're probably not even getting it in a year. you know?
Hold on. Wait. Fun fact. Remember, she tells her audience to go do the FOIA at the end of the video. Like, ma'am, I thought you did this.
She knows that none of them know how to do a FOIA anyway. Like, it's not
Facts.
hard. You can actually just send an email and just say that this is a FOIA request. Like, to most.
That is correct.
Yeah, it's actually pretty easy. But most people don't know how to do that. And when you do FOIA something and you get something back, like, you can show it. It's not classified. They're not going to send you anything that's classified. So why, if she is FOIA in this stuff, why isn't she showing anybody?
That's an excellent catch. I love it. Yeah, I just find this very interesting that in light of the world that she's in, allegedly, because I'm going to still say that there is no international hit on her at all, and she hasn't shown us anything to change my mind. Why is that not the first thing, the only thing you've been talking about for the last 2 weeks? Is like, by the way, these people are out to do me harm, and they're in my own town. But no, you busy fighting with Erica, you fighting with Tim Pool, you fighting with the internet. You on Twitter, you would think that everything is sunshine and rainbows. Not that, John Wick is walking down the street looking for you.
Well, and the first also, so I'm assuming she has a security team, right?
I'm assuming, I don't know.
One of the bigger podcasts, she's a polarizing figure. So I'm assuming she has a security team. And anyone who's on that security detail who's running that is going to be like, hey, if there's credible, threats against your life, like, you're not going to mass tonight. You're not, you're not just going to go to mass real quick and come back. It's super safe. You're not going to all these public events, like, until we.
Wait, you can't go to Tucker's Christmas party?
Yeah, right. Like,
all
these things that she's doing, like, you wouldn't be doing that if you were really afraid for your life.
Let me ask you another question. Because I keep bringing this up, and I know people are tired of me asking this question, but if somebody did put an international hit on you, wouldn't you, like, file a police report and let your local police know?
And also, there's no such thing as an international hit. Like, what does this even mean? Like, what are we talking about, guys? Like, it's not a James Bond thriller where they're like, he's greenlit, we're gonna send this macho dude.
She did say greenlit. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's like the bureaucracy that's involved with any combined joint operation. So anything. It's like what we call in, overseas is called a CJSOTF, a Combined Joint Special Operations Task Force. And what that is not only joint services from the United States, but it's combined with coalition forces or our allies that are also could be in on those operations with us.
Correct.
Like, the amount of scrutiny that goes into any one of those operations, even when we're talking about against enemy combatants, like in country, like under an AUMF, all that good stuff, like perfectly legal. You're still talking about, you're going through 4 to 5 levels of approvals to even get out the door to go execute this mission. Do you think that there's all these people that are just signing off on assassination attempts on American citizens that are
in America?
In America? Like, what? Oh,
wait. So you don't believe in the French Legionnaires and the communist bees, sir? I don't know if we can have you on this channel.
That's not what that's not what the French Foreign Legion does. They're not like an elite assassination force. They're a multinational force of the Foreign Legion. For those of you that don't know, is its leadership is all French. All that, like, they'll have French officers in charge, but then all of their enlisted and then lower officers will be, actually, I don't even know if there's even officers. They might just be only enlisted. But it's people that have either lost their countries or for whatever reason are going to be expat, or they want to come live wherever, or they just want to start over. Then they can join the French Foreign Legion, and it's just a military, right? And it's just a military that the French government uses, but only for certain things because it is foreign nationals inside of this army, right? So, like, correct. It's an army. It's a fighting force. It's not assassins. There's no samurai. There's no, there's no wet work or black
wet team. There's no wet works. Darn it. No high table.
Yeah, the French government has their own tier 1 assets. They're not using the French Foreign Legion and the Gendarmerie, which is a police force.
Right.
Like, what? Like, that would be like saying, like, Chicago SWAT is out in Namibia to kill a high value target. You'd be like, why is Chicago SWAT anywhere? Right? It's not Chicago.
They need to be in Chicago. Yeah, that's for sure.
Like,
Chicago SWAT needs to be in Chicago. Very much so.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Green Beret nap time. Let's go.
Obviously, we all know that what we are being told is not true. We all know that nothing that we have been presented with makes any practical sense. But there are sort of smoking guns in this that are missing, right? It's one thing to point out all the lies, but we need to also have solid, concrete proof of something that took place that was out of the ordinary in the days leading up, maybe I don't know, a planning session. Well,
Okay, I'm gonna stop before we get there. In your experience in theater, are they gonna always dot every I and cross every T? Is everything gonna be crisp down to the letter? You know, we're only gonna use 8 bullets. We're only gonna travel this far. Everything's gonna go just perfectly well.
Yeah, I mean, I can only tell you from like the SF, the Special Forces standpoint,
for sure.
because I was never in a line unit, so I don't know how some of that goes. But no, I mean, and even when I got to Afghanistan, which I was there a little bit late, there was what was known as a 5W to contact, which is literally you just put out a 5 Ws, who, what, when, where, why, and you put that to your command. You're like, hey, we're going to go here for this purpose, at this time, and we're going to come back at this point, like whatever. And basically we called it a 5W to contact, because you're kind of just going out there and hoping you get hit, because then that will lead on to more intelligence and more follow on targets once you complete that troops in contact that's hopefully gonna happen, right? Because that just opens up more doors. So there was all this stuff that she's saying too, is just none of it is like the way that military planning would even be thought of. And so that's
I can't wait for you. I can't wait for you to jump on that.
Oh,
I cannot wait. Let me ask you this also. Have you watched a lot of her content?
I can only stomach a little. She's just, it's whenever I see people like her, like I can watch some podcasts that are just like fun people talking and whatever, and I know, but like when it's being something that's like being pushed or something that's clearly outrageous, I have a really hard time watching it. So I don't watch her that often. I've watched certain episodes to get feels for certain things that she said, but yeah.
I was just going to ask, do you get a feeling, do you get the vibe, the feeling that she doesn't like the military?
Oh yeah, she's an elitist. I mean, she
treats y'all pretty bad.
Yeah, she acts like, well, and then she says E4s and E5s and then calls them lieutenant colonels, which is like insane. This
right,
talking about enlisted, specialist or sergeant for the Army,
right.
And then you're going to say like lieutenant colonel, which is like, it's crazy. 05 and the 05 different than E5. I don't know. She's not military, so maybe she just mixed them up. But it goes to show you even more. Like, she's talking about these things that she has no actual idea of what she's talking about. Right. I could get on there and I could feed her the coolest story ever, and she would probably think it's legit. And I would just be like, yeah. And then I walked into that, and I'd use all the correct acronyms and be like, I walked into this, and I walked into the skiff, and I got this stuff, and now I have it. And I'll show you, I promise. And then she would probably be like, oh my God, this guy killed JFK too.
No, like they both did.
Yeah.
20 years later. Okay. I love it. Let's go.
got back home after this very intentional prayer and did my routine, had a very late dinner, went up and said goodnight to the kids, got myself ready for bed, sat in bed, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to open the tips box. And I kid you not when I say that it was the very first email that I saw, the very first email that I opened up.
Most of her story, and I have to admit, Green Beret, I've watched a lot of her content. I do watch a lot.
I was about to say, I've
seen
that before. She says that a lot often, right? Like she'll be like, it was the first one when I opened it up.
It's most of her shenanigans start with, I opened the tip line, or I got a message, or something like that. Like, again, I tell people the whole Egyptian plane saga started with a tip. And it started with a tip, and whoever gave her the tip didn't realize that she was not smart enough to understand UTC time, and that's where the whole shenanigan. I don't think it would have ever even took off, pun intended, because the fact that she didn't know what UTC time was and fumbled the ball, and everybody jumped on her head about it, and then she was like, "Well, I must be right because you all are calling me out," and that's where it went. And it is more tips came in. It just seems funny. Once a story starts to die down, a new tip comes in.
Yep.
And then another die down, another tip comes in. Yep. I'm not saying she's being played. I'm just saying, has anybody seen Steven Crowder lately? That's all I'm asking.
And it really didn't have any details. It was a young woman, and she said, "You really should call my friend. It is absolutely urgent, and he has information that you need to hear." And don't tell me why. I don't know what came over me, but maybe it was this intentional prayer. I said, I'm just going to call him right now. 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes after this email hit my inbox, I was calling this person and I had no idea what it was going to lead to, whether it was going to be a totally insane person or whether or not it was going to be a very swiftly answered prayer.
It's funny, like I said, like she disparages anybody who says that they're a Christian and they're praying or anything like that, or God led me to reach out to Green Beret nap time or anything of that nature. But boy, oh boy, she can pray for whatever. Great parking spot at the mall, it's a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
Double coupons at Sprouts, it's a miracle. It's a sign. But she can do it all the time. Go ahead. All right, here we go.
The person that I spoke with, his name is or was Harry. And
Okay, this is my very last point. I'm not going to keep stopping. You do realize that she's reading from the prompter in front of her?
Yeah.
And when she's making up a story, I'm going to just say it. When she's lying, she's looking over into the right corner of the story. You'll notice the story gets weird. Whenever it goes off the rails, because she was looking over to the right. She just makes up stuff. And I don't know why, but that's where she looks over when she's lying. I'm here to pick fights. I'm just saying it.
he told me a story which I have since fact-checked various elements, the elements that I could fact-check.
Did you want to say something about that?
I mean, hey, what did you fact check? Like what did you do to fact check in one night? Right, you got this late after mass, so like we're talking, everything's closed. Even if you're happening, is she West Coast or East Coast? I don't know.
She's in Tennessee.
Oh,
so
well then,
she's on.
Yeah. Okay, so
yeah.
she's Central Time, probably, depending on
Yeah.
where you're at. So, yeah, like either way, everything's closed. And even if some of that stuff was on the West Coast at that point, I mean, everybody knows if you try to call 4 p.m. or later, like you ain't getting nothing from the military. And again, who would you even call for that? Like, there's not just like a number you can be like, hey, I got this guy, and I just want to make sure that he served you. And they're like, that's not a thing.
Tip line verification number.
Yeah, that's not a thing that exists. There's no way. Like, how did you fact check it? Like, give us that to start.
Like, and I'm just going to bring this up again. I know my audience might be tired of me. The infamous 920 email. She says that she had that for weeks, that she sat on that for weeks to sit down and verify every aspect of the 920 email, but she did not realize that the 920 building is the building that her lawyers were in. If she did that in weeks and she was able to miss that big, giant, steaming hot pile in the middle of the email, because the guy mentions it like 7 times. So clearly they want you to know about this address and you didn't verify, you didn't check. It took me 3 minutes to find out where that address was. Not 3 days, not 3 weeks.
Yep.
You couldn't do that with an email that you were sitting on. This man calls you at, I'm guessing it's probably 9, 10 o'clock at night. So what verification were you doing at 11 o'clock at night? Because you said the call was an hour long.
Yeah.
So we're looking at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, midnight. And you allegedly go live at 6 o'clock the next day. When did you sleep? When did you do this verification? You didn't even try.
Yeah.
Okay. I just had to get that off my chest.
And it's legit. This is a legit story that I'm about to share with you. And I want to say before I relay it that the descriptions of the people are based off of his own memory, but the facts pertaining to where he was.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Like what? Like what does that even mean?
I think she's trying to couch the fact that she knows there's going to be some errors in here.
Yes.
That's what I think she's trying to do. She's trying to.
It's just also, and then we're like, again, we're about to go back and hear about some drug stuff from the Columbia days in the 80s. Like this is all just wild. So, yeah, keep going.
It's wild. But then also I was looking back at it. I said, every piece of information that she has is all information that I could find. So if I were like you and we sat down and really crafted a really great story and said, oh yeah, let me go find this YouTube video and pull it. Hey, go find that clip there. All that stuff is accessible. There's nothing that is not accessible that she shows. It's not like, let me show you this special, verification, his ID badge or something like that. Everything is already readily available in public space. Ma'am, I think you got played. I really do.
No, I mean, like that's how either she's being played or she's playing us one way or the other. Because yes, they use real things, and they're like, and this is the guy that actually cracked the case on it. And then we put him in wet sec and we change his name, and no, I won't tell you his new name. Right? What? So like, this is all just you making, like, you just took a story from the past and you're like, this is the real side of it. What?
To be honest with you, I think we're watching The Usual Suspects. Remember that movie with Kevin Spacey?
It really is.
I think that's what this is. This is The Usual Suspect. And the bad things, I think she's the one that's being played. I don't think many people believe this. Now, there might be some, but I don't think many people believe this story.
Believe it.
Say again?
There are a lot of people that believe it.
Okay.
I get attacked by people every day. If I say something about her, they're like, she's right. And I'm like, right about what? Yeah, like, tell me one thing that she's given proof of, and then we could talk. But they can't.
Not even going to. All right.
Whether he was where he says he was, for the reasons that he says that he was there, he is being honest. Okay? I can tell you that he is being 100% honest, and you are free to look further into this. I am certain he is going to probably be doing a lot of interviews in the near future.
He's not.
I guarantee you, I will shave the hair off of my left pinky toe if that guy ever gets in front of a camera.
Well, another thing, she talks about NDAs here in a bit. Guess what? NDAs don't have a time frame on them. They're not like this NDA.
I was wondering about that. Thank you.
No, when you sign an NDA, it's an NDA. Like, especially if it involves any kind of classified information. Again, if that stuff becomes declassified later, you're still not the authority that would decide that information could come out to the public. So like either way, you would be divulging information that's either sensitive or classified. So none of what she just said is actually, and then she gives, just keep going.
Okay.
I can also factually state that there was an incident report. So this was recorded, and what transpired on September 8th
how did she know there was an incident report?
She claims that she reads it off a little bit later.
Right, but how does she know factually that it exists?
She couldn't know that. The guy just said that he had an incident report and gave it to her. She believed him.
The more you listen to her, the more you realize just how much full of hot air she is. All right, shout out to
him by surprise was something that he thought was a part of a broader military conspiracy against him. He could not fully comprehend why what was happening. Okay, so let's start actually 35 years ago, because you need to know who this man is. In 1990, this young man named Harry Myers discovered something that would shape the next 3 decades of his life. Okay, he was at the bottom of the military chain. He was just 20 years old, and he was put on what was actually a brand new command, the first ever Joint Task Force 6. And
okay, I see you smiling and smirking, so I'm going to let you go, but I do have a question about her. Do you want to say what you're going to say? It looks like you had something to say.
It's just silly. It's just so silly. It's like Joint Task Force 6. You're like, all right, well, so you're saying, one, there's lots of Joint Task Force, right? JTF is like a thing, right? So it's not, but they'd like to be number 6. Like, at that point in the world, like we've had more than 6 of them. I don't know, dude. It's silly.
I also find it very interesting. She very rarely mentions what branch of military they're in.
Yeah.
This person is in the military. Well, is he in the Army? Is he a devil dog? Is he in the Air Force? Is he in the Navy? Like what branch of military? He's just in the military. I always think, and she never seems to be able to tell people what branch of military these people in. They're just in the military, and he's a colonel, he's an admiral, he's master chief in Halo, whatever. I got a bad feeling if somebody wrote her a script for Halo, the video game, she would probably read it.
Oh yeah.
If you remember with the video game, I think somebody could write that, and she'll probably fall for it because she doesn't know. She just says military. That there's more than that.
This new command was being created down at the border by President George H.W. Bush, and it was presented to the American public as, a war on drugs with the help of Colin Powell. And it should be noted that this took place, just to kind of get you back into what was going on at the beginning of the 1990s, this took place just after the Iran-Contra affair, right? The Iran-Contra affair was from, I think, 1981 to 1986, happened under Reagan. And for those of you who are not read into massive CIA scandals, this was the scandal when the American public
she just did there.
got to learn.
I'm sorry. Say again, brother.
What she just did there is she tied a commonly known scandal, right? That happened, and the Contra stuff to this now to give everything like validity. This is look, this happened, so the CIA did this, so they must have been doing this too.
No, I'm right there with you.
Learned that our CIA was actually trafficking drugs and weapons throughout South America. A scandal which, if you guys have followed our Epstein series, we now know that he was also involved in the Iran-Contra scandal. It essentially...
Actually, to the point that you're making, she likes to tie known scandals and known issues to this. That's why she keeps mentioning JFK.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she doesn't mention any other, like, regular, schmegular person that's been assassinated or killed publicly. It's always something like, again, JFK. That's a big assassination of a public elected official, and she's trying to tie that to it. So now she's tying this to the Iran-Contra. It's funny to hear how she tries to do this. I would love to see like her little war board that she has on her wall with the red yarn going all over the place, because it is everywhere. All right, here we go.
I think she's just like literally just put it in her notes in her iPhone. She's like, this guy's gonna say this to me, like I don't know, it's all insane.
I love it. Let's go.
Shook the foundation of Reagan's White House, and during that time, during Reagan's tenure, George H.W. Bush was the vice president, throughout this scandal. So when George H.W. Bush then decided that he was going to run as a president of the United States, and he did run and he ran in 1988, just a couple of years following that affair, he had to really hit hard on drugs at the border, and declare that this White House was going to do all that it could to stop these drugs from flooding into America. Take a listen to him saying what they were going to be cracking down on.
This
Unintended.
This is crack cocaine, seized a few days ago by drug enforcement agents in a park just across the street from the White House.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Looks like cheese.
Well, that too. There is absolutely unequivocally nobody that was selling crack cocaine like that. I'm sorry. That is not distribution. That's not prepared for resale. That's wholesale crack, my people.
Dude.
Bless his heart, man. Yeah. Hey, shout out to Bush, but I'm sorry, sir, that's not happening. But again, even with this is not information that you couldn't already find. Right. If we said, hey, we got to get a story together, we got to get Reagan, we got to get Bush involved in, we got to get Iran-Contra, we can find all these clips on YouTube or Venmo or on the internet themselves. This is not something new. And I hate that whoever sent her this information did not, he only just gassed her up by saying, oh yeah, you can find this. I'm sure he probably sent it to her.
It could easily have been heroin or PCP. It's as innocent looking as candy, but it's turning our cities into battle zones, and it's murdering our children. Let there be no mistake. This stuff is poison.
So you hear the directive from the then president, H.W. Now, our protagonist in the story is Harry, right? He's 20 years old, and he's at the bottom of the military totem pole, and he gets attached to this new command, this new Southern Command. Previously, there had never been that joint task force, and specifically, he was a part of an operation that came to be known as Operation Catacomb. He describes himself, and I'm going to put this in quotations, as a lowly military censor guy assigned to this Joint Task Operation 6, and they were...
What you don't like lowly military censor guy?
It's just so loud. It's not the way someone in the military would talk about their position, right? Like that just makes you seem even more like terrible, and like, oh, I was just a lowly janitor tech. Right, like no one's gonna do that. I don't know. It's just silly.
But he was just a lowly man. He was just a low man on the totem pole, man. He was just there. He was just
to cover half of Arizona and Mexico. And I'm going to read this next portion of his story directly from him, okay? And I quote, "In just 6 days, I planted sensors, translated data, and skipped the chain of command and gave proof of the existence and pinpointed the location of the first ever discovered Sinaloa cartel underground rail tunnel. By passing directly through to lower Border Patrol agents, I skipped command and directly, a Border Patrol agent was able to skip his command and directly sought a warrant to raid the tunnel, which avoided tipping off any compromised commanders that were working with the cartel. Thus, why it resulted in such a big bust. Most importantly, it did not give time to remove photos that were on the walls on the Mexican side, where our Joint Task Commander, who was a high-ranking Border Patrol, was actually in the photos in that house."
Does it not intrigue you at all that she never has a name? At some point, she does need to give some names. Everybody is just as generic as can be. And I'm just like, at what point do you ever just say, okay, this is that person? But
she's also not like she's not describing an operation that could even like happen in the way that like it's just who either she made this up or whoever made this up to tell her like saw this story on 60 Minutes at one point in the last few years.
Yeah.
And they were like that could be me because I could be anybody, you know. I had a new identity, and now it's just this. It's all so stupid. It's not. None of it's plausible from a military perspective.
So you would say that this would be a civilian that's just trying to make him or herself feel like they were a part of something.
The word
big.
choices they're using, and if they were the one that blundered the E4 E5 lieutenant colonel thing, 100%. Like, you know, what are we? I don't. There's a lot.
I can't wait for you to get there to that part. Let's go.
Posing with El Chapo and Felipe, his architect. And there were other U.S. Marine officers and Mexican law enforcement officers and military that were in those photos. Okay, end quote. So just to be clear, he discovers this tunnel, somehow skips the chain of command. Now they find this massive tunnel and, oh, wait, why are military commanders and high up people in the military in pictures?
Say again, my brother.
He skips the chain of command. Like, what? So then how did he push this to anybody, or and then if he had done that, he even went outside of his chain of command to report something that was classified, like now you're probably going to Leavenworth. You're not going to WITSEC, right? Like you're going to get in trouble for that. So that's silly.
But also Candace really likes, and again, somebody said that Chat GPT is her tip line. I do think, hey, there's some reasons to believe that might be true. Like schedule Chat GPT to send out this type of email every 2 days. But she really likes the quote unquote somebody that's going against the system. And, oh man, he's a rebel. He broke command, or he broke from the matrix. So that kind of narrative, like the 920 building, is some French person who really I got to share this information because you're the only one. Anything that strokes her ego or shows somebody is siding with her, she's going to run with that extra fast. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying anybody should send her a false tip, but make sure your tip has a level of I'm a rebel type of vibe to it, because she's going to read it. She's just going to run with it.
Yeah, she's Ron Burgundy.
With El Chapo. What?
I apologize.
She's Ron Burgundy. She's on that prompter.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's going on here? I'm going to pause here to let you see an old news clip regarding this explosive discovery that Harry made.
The tunnel was called one of the most sophisticated drug smuggling schemes authorities have ever seen. Using jackhammers and torches, federal agents broke into the concrete reinforced tunnel at a warehouse in Douglas, Arizona. 30 feet underground, agents walked for 100 yards through the 5-foot-high tunnel. It took them under the Mexican border to a house in Agua Prieta. There, they found an air compressor, a sump pump, a small trolley car, and a hydraulic jack. It was used to lift up the floor inside the living room of the house, where the smugglers would start their illegal trip to the U.S. Authorities said when the tunnel wasn't being used for drug running, the smugglers would flood it with water.
Let's say we came over here with some technology trying to detect this. It would look like an underground stream if it was flooded.
Federal agents said the tunnel cost at least $1 million to build and had probably been in operation for 6 months to a year. Last November, customs agents received a tip that a sophisticated tunnel was being used to funnel cocaine into the United States.
This type of tunnel is not an amateur operation. It's a highly sophisticated engineering feat that took place.
Mexican authorities were also involved in the investigation and the raid. Earlier this month, police seized 2,000 pounds of cocaine, which they said came into the U.S. through the tunnel. The drugs were headed for Southern California.
And what's not said in that news clip is there were pictures of United States military men in that house. What happened?
She's again, so she's taking this story that is a verified story, right? This was on the news, right? She's taking this story from way back to build credibility for the story that she's generating right now, or was generated for her, whether one way or the other. This is 100% a fake story. There's just no way that like this dude. When we see the rest of this, and she talks about how the guy ran into the dude, and now it's just this whole thing. Like it's just so silly.
She just loves this type of stuff, and anybody who can give her something like this, she's going to run with it. I mean, the random person that is giving her the information from Hertz Rental Car, where she was reading off the Egyptians' rental cars and stuff like that. Like, ma'am, like
they were just random. They were just random rental cars.
There's random rental cars. When I went to my in-laws, I took a license plate, an old plate I have in my garage, and I wrote one of the license plate numbers on it and put it on the back of my car. Took a picture and said, "Hey, I think I found the guy." But like at some point, she has to realize that she's being punked here. Like this doesn't make sense. But she's just gonna go with it. It's kind of sad in one way because she really thinks she's cooking. But ma'am, that cow is still out there grazing. It hasn't even been slaughtered. You are not cooking anything.
Next is predictable, given what we now know. Harry's superiors take the credit for the bust, and he's going to continue what happens. I'm going to, again, quote him verbatim. Quote, "On the surface, I was given a small reward, an Army medal. I have the write-ups for those awards mentioning me and my critical role in this mission's success. That said..."
Why does she not have those?
Yeah.
Why are you not showing us that?
Even that, though. I mean, like, I could show you an award that I got and be like, this was tied to a conspiracy here. And they just gave me this award and said, like,
right.
What?
I mean, it could be made up too, but why don't you at least have something to validate this story? Like, even if, again, you and I would probably still eviscerate it if she showed us something like, oh, here's the copy of the award. Like, we would still probably skewer it, but at least you showed us something.
Yeah.
At least tried. You don't even try to give us any evidence or proof. And she's later on going to say he sent her all this stuff, pictures and screenshots and all that. Show us one of them.
Right.
Just one.
Right.
U.S. Border Patrol members who recognized me as being the agent responsible for the bust did not like seeing that I wasn't being appreciated more and resented my higher-ups for taking the credit for the discovery.
Wait.
Somehow, in the immediate days after the...
Say again?
Was he an agent? Or
he was in the military, but
was he a lowly military? What did he call it? What did they say?
Sensor guy.
Sensor guy.
Yeah.
So, what is he even doing?
I don't know. Let me back up.
Did he even have the authority to arrest somebody?
Well, apparently, that's what I'm saying. Like, this story doesn't make sense, and it clearly doesn't make sense to Candace. I think that's unequivocal, and we'll find it out in a moment. But
have the write-ups for those awards mentioning me and my critical role in this mission's success. That said, U.S. Border Patrol members who recognized me as being the agent responsible for the bust did not like seeing that I wasn't being appreciated more and resented my higher-ups for taking the credit for the discovery. Somehow, in the immediate days after the bust, prior to the United States side getting the photos from the Mexican authorities, my information was given to the cartels. In continuing the mission, me and one Border Patrol agent were sent to Naco, Arizona, where I was approached by a cartel member confirming my identification by rattling off my mother's name, address, my high school, my friends, everything listed in my clearance packet.
Or everything that was on classmates.com back then.
What is a clearance packet? You just made that shit up. That's not a real. That's not a real. There's not a clearance packet, right? Like you do an SF-86, right? So an SF-86 is all the stuff you put in so they can do the background checks on you and get, depending on what clearance you're going for, all the right investigations for that.
For sure.
Is she talking about per stat, which would be your kind of bona fides that you would give in the case you were lost and then recovered? But that's not the same thing, because per stat is things that aren't true, because you use things that are not true on purpose so that someone can't find information and then pretend to be you, and then you'd be like, yeah, I did own this car. Like it's supposed to be like a car you didn't own, or it's supposed to be like a dog you didn't have this name or whatever. You change it so that when they do recover you and they ask you these questions, they know that it can only be you because you're the only one that would know these.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what she's doing.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I think we
was supposed to be locked in the custody of the Joint Task Force 6 commander, whose picture was with El Chapo and about to be discovered. We avoided being taken hostage or shot, sneaking away and driving out of that little town. Mm-hmm. I was taken.
They avoided it. They avoided being taken hostage.
This sounds like.
Yeah, with their James Bondian.
Why does it sound like Michael Douglas in The Game? Remember that movie, The Game?
Yeah,
that's what this sounds like.
It's guys. If it sounds insane, it's probably insane. It's probably not
right. And just again, later on, I think we're really going to. I think it's going to be fair to say this person is insane. But let's go.
Back to Fort Huachuca with the U.S. Border Patrol agent I was with, believing, since I was just a young 20-year-old, that I must have somehow compromised my own ID. The next day, I had a debrief with the Army Criminal Investigation Division and a prosecutor from Tucson, Arizona, informing me of how my ID became compromised. I was told that I was then going to be put in witness protection. My orders restricted me from any further work in counter narcotics, from being stationed on or south of the border, and it prevented me from working with Border Patrol. It was a Band-Aid while they prepared and got approval for me to be put into witness protection. Also, to protect me, the mission and the prosecutions, I was also put under an NDA gag order, which was dated out, okay, look, it says 1990, to May of 2025.
So, Green Beret nap time, when does your NDA expire?
NDAs never expire. They don't.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah. Once you sign an NDA for something, like unless you've then been given specific instructions or authorization to then put that information out for whatever reason, if you were in a position to where, like a command position where like now you're the one that would release this information, like that's when the NDA would have maybe been stricken at that point. But the NDAs don't expire, right? I signed NDAs, and if I started talking about that information now, even though I'm out of the military, like they could try to come back and get me if they really wanted to, because they don't expire. Like, it's just.
Well, it's just me and you. It's just me and you, man. Go ahead and tell me. Go ahead and tell me, man.
All the secrets.
I won't tell them. Just tell it to me. I won't tell anybody else.
This conspiracy world that everyone wants to live is not real, man. People are not that competent. Like, let's just put it this way: the government and the military and everything all together, like, it's just not competent enough to conduct these conspiracies in a manner where no one would know about them, right? Like,
correct.
It's just crazy. So that's the big secret that people don't understand.
Because it does read like a movie script. It moves. It's going.
That's what it is.
In a moment, it's going to get.
She's a soap opera, man. This is the new soap opera. No one's watching, all the soap operas anymore. They're getting on and they're watching Candace and Ian and all these idiots.
Yeah. Let's go.
To prevent me from mentioning this entire ordeal. The witness protection entrance never happened.
I'm sorry.
Then they're fine with you mentioning it 35 years later. Like, oh no, now it's okay. Yeah,
right. But they're incompetent. Don't forget, they're incompetent. Maybe they gave him a 35 Maybe they gave them the NDA with a 35-year expiration date on it, and it didn't give him the indefinite one.
Dude, yeah. We messed up. We gave him the one with the expiration on it.
Yeah. This one had an expiration date on it.
Happened. The ball got dropped. I never got contacted for it. From what we uncovered, a deal was made with the compromised U.S. Border Patrol agent commander. Okay, so let's pause and just recap there very quickly. And I'm
Yes,
going to
please.
tell you what this has to do with Charlie Kirk, okay?
Oh, please.
So I guess in a sentence, a young military man did his job excellently. He accidentally stumbled upon, or actually, accidentally stumbled upon the fact that our government was implicated, not in fighting the cartels, but working with the cartels. And suddenly he realizes after some time that the government then feeds him, or somebody spitefully, perhaps his commander, fed him to the cartels. And now he's on the run for his life. What happens over the course of the next 35 years is he's hacked. He says that he goes through abusive litigation. He is harassed. He says there are narco attorneys that attack his credit. There are police records.
Say again.
I thought he was WITSEC, right? So how are they attacking him? How are they bringing him to court for 20 years while he's under WITSEC under a different name? Once you go into WITSEC, that's a locked box. There's compartmentalized people that know where you are, and that's it. There's no they're not gonna be able to find you, because that would defeat the whole damn purpose of WITSEC. If anyone can file against you, right?
What is say that again? What is that? WITSEC? What is
witness
that?
protection, witness security.
Oh, okay.
So which is not even a thing that really yes, it does exist, but it's like they use it in movies and TVs all the time. Like this is, we're going to put you in WITSEC. Like it's a pretty rare thing. It doesn't just get thrown around that often. But once you go into that, there's generally a lead agent, and then there's one other agent that's going to be privy to who you actually are and where you're at. And they're never, that information is never going to go broadcasted anywhere. It's never going to be put on any networks, so that no one can find you, so that, because the only reason you're in WITSEC is because someone's trying to kill you. Right. So this whole thing that she's saying, none of that makes sense. How are they ruining his life? He would have been put in WITSEC. He would have been a different identity. They wouldn't have been able to find him.
So, I mean, look at this woman right here. Do you think this woman would be making up a story to us, Green Brain?
Which, by the way, for all of this, he has presented evidence for this. But throughout a certain point in time.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to be the evidence guy. I know. I'm like, show us the proof. Just show me something that would sway me to believe that you're even pretending like you vetted this information. Because maybe I could be swayed. Maybe Green Beret nap time can be won over. Can you give us something? You just literally trust me broing the whole story. Could you just give me something to believe oh, well, there it is. At least she has a photocopy. At least she had a screenshot. Nothing.
Other than a TV interview of a drug bust.
Right.
From the 80s.
Because the rest of this is going to be all stuff that he's just telling her.
These police records were virtually disappeared. He had been reporting that hitmen were coming after him. He had names. This was a 35 years long ordeal. He now has all of his paperwork, thanks to some county clerks who did the right thing and were able to dig up these records. But you name it, this man has lived it throughout the last 35 years. Okay. Fast forward to May of 2025, May of this year, and Harry Myers, who now has a new name, by the way, which I'm not saying, but he is finally released from this 35-year military grade NDA.
Date.
So what does this now 56-year-old decide to do? He decides that he's going to confront his past. He wants answers, okay? He wants to know why he was never protected. He wants to know if the FBI had been informed, and if so, which they were supposed to be, why they didn't do their job. Why didn't they protect Harry? He was working for the military and he did his job. He makes up his mind that he's going to deal with this in person. He is going to travel from his home in Washington back down to the very base where this all began, right? To Fort Huachuca, in Arizona.
All right, we're here. Here we go. We're on our way to Arizona, the hot state of Arizona. Here it comes. Please pay attention to this. This thing gets so stupid so quick. Let's go.
And revisit the past. He's going to get these answers. He books himself to stay in a hotel on the base, a military hotel known as Candlewood Suites.
Like Candlewood Suites only exist on the military bases, bro.
Really, trust me, bro.
That's like
I started to look it up. I'm not gonna look it up.
Like, right? It's like that chain. It's like a Candlewood Suites. It's like a thing. They're like,
yeah. But again, just like, hey, did you notice that she was the Egyptian people on the Egyptian plains stayed at the La Quinta Inn somewhere in? Okay, I really think somebody is literally just making this story up. It makes no sense. Like, which one make so? You want me to believe that the quote unquote Fed slop about Tyler Robinson is bad, but this story right here, nobody would come up with it on their own.
No.
I thought about it today. Nobody would come up with the Macrons hired the Egyptians and an Israeli special service and to go and the French to go and assault Charlie Kirk and take out Candace Owens. Nobody would have come up with that story unless you told it. Not a bit. With all the evidence you've shown, nobody would have come up with this.
And a head of state is not using his own military to go assassinate somebody. They're going to use a organization or somebody that's a cutout that's not actually connected to them in any way, right?
There we go. Yeah.
And this is on the evening of September 8th. I want you to remember that, okay? He has been so thorough. He has sent me timestamps, bookings, reservations, went through his call logs. I was like, I want you to pinpoint what everything.
How did she go? She went through all of this between 9 p.m. last night and when did she go live with this?
That show was at 5:30. This show was on 5:30 the next day in Eastern Standard Time.
So not even 24 hours.
And don't forget, she had to sleep. She had to take care of the kids. She had to homeschool. She has to sleep. Just normal life. She's done all of that, and she's verified all this stuff, but shown us none of it.
Okay.
I mean, I know Cantifa's in the chat. Some of my mods told me that Cantifa's in the chat. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to Cantifa. Y'all come up here to the front of the church. We got seats for y'all right up here. Come on up in here. Help us make sense of this.
Canadian Antifa?
No, well, no, it's Candace Tifa.
Oh,
so it's Cantifa.
Dude, God, these people online are the gayest people alive.
On the planet. They're on the planet. So we make room for them, Green Beret. We say, hey, Cantifa, y'all can come right up in here. We save y'all a seat right here. Absolutely. All I want you to do is just explain this to me. What proof, evidence has she shown you that you could show me that would cause me to believe what she's saying? That's what I want. And at the current moment, just like her fingers are right there showing a 0, that's exactly it. 0 evidence to the fact. Let's go.
Thing happened. So he gets to the Candlewood Suites at approximately on September 8th, 5:37 p.m. Checks into the hotel. And you can imagine he's a person that pays a lot of attention to his surroundings, right? When the cartels are after you and your family and you are compelled to change your name, you pay attention to your surroundings to see if anything.
Kind of like Candace paid attention to her surroundings at Dollywood.
Dude.
Or at Tucker Carlson's Christmas party.
Did he change his name and was he in Witsec or was he not? Because
apparently he was in Witsec with a different name. I thought.
Then he couldn't have like had this whole. This is all just so asinine. So like now and then once you go into Witsec, you don't get to come out. You don't have to come out like.
That's a good point.
You don't get to come out 35 years later and be like, oh, everything's fine now. All the danger's passed. I'm good. I'm done being this fake name. I'm going to be this real name. And now I'm going to go onto this army base where I once served. Like, what?
Yeah, because I really wanted you to explain this going on to the base thing. Because, okay, let's say that the Candlewood Suites is on the base. Let's just say that for laughs and giggles. They have a hotel on the base. Okay. How did he get on the base to go to the hotel?
They do have hotels on bases. I don't know if you have to be active duty to use them or maybe a veteran. I don't know. I don't know that part. I haven't paid attention to stuff like that. There are some random hotels on bases. There's some on Fort Bragg. And you can get onto bases with a background check and a driver's license.
Okay.
So you can just go through their visitor center. They do a background check and then you can get on. You have to have a reason though. Like you have to have a purpose. Right. For what you're going to do. They're not like checking your backstory, right? If you just say like, I'm going to see this person at this unit, usually they're going to let you on as long as you pass the background check. So him getting on the base isn't weird. Him getting anywhere near a unit, that's weird. Like you can't just walk into a building, right? Like on base.
Okay, so let's say he's under witness protection. Wouldn't that be what does his background check look like? If you're under witness protection, you have a different name.
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like for you to go and try to get on a military base with a basically an alias?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense either. So
That's what I'm saying. Like, or does he go with his original name, which is the one that everybody's coming after him for?
yeah, no, it doesn't make sense. So like, yeah, because it all goes off your social. So like
Right.
they do, it's called a JPass. So when you go in there, you put your social into their system, and then they pull up, and then they do their background check based off of that. So I don't know.
Okay. Somebody said yes, they have gone to Huachuca. I'm sorry, Candlewood and Huachuca, and they use the visitor pass. Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wonder, like, what does that look like for? But I'm assuming that Monica Leonard, I'm assuming that you're not in the WITSAC under witness protection with the cartel coming after you. So I'm just kind of wondering, like, what does that look like for somebody like this, John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, who called Candace and told her this fanciful story?
No, you got to know hits from the cartel, they expired 35 years too. Everybody knows this.
There you go. The marker from the high table expires.
Anybody look shady? What he notices is somebody who is special forces in the lobby. He said, you just know when you're dealing with a special forces guy. And he is in the lobby, and a person.
Where were you, Green Beret nap time? Hold on. Where were you on September 8th?
This
Don't
year?
tell us. Yeah, this year. Don't tell us. Don't tell us. Keep it a secret.
I've been out for a while, so I'm not doing anything cool. I promise you that.
I was picking up my kids man, in carpool line. I was in carpool line, man.
A young woman comes down thereafter. That young woman, who at the time he did not recognize, is with him. They kind of fluff around in the lobby while he's checking in. He's on the phone with his wife. And thereafter, the two of them get into a green pickup truck and they drive off. Okay.
Imagine thinking you're cooking with this. Because 2 days later, today's Friday, yesterday, her tip line was her comment section was asking who was the woman that got into the green pickup truck. And she literally put out an ask for people to find out who the green pickup truck occupants were. If you work at Candlewood, can you check the security cam? Blah, blah, blah. Like, I really wish I was making it up. I really wish I was making this up, man. This woman is insufferable.
The next morning, now we're September 9th, he wakes up at around 5:30 a.m. in the morning because he wants to see the sunrise. He says that he then fails at finding the Army Criminal Investigations Department. So he drives off base, just a little ways off base, to get some coffee in Sierra Vista. While getting that coffee, he runs into some soldiers. Again, this is just all God at this point, who happen to be wearing 10th Mountain Division patches. And he's like, that's my old unit. What's going on here? Like that, he thinks his unit's gone. Nothing's going on with this unit.
Yeah, the 10th Mountain's gone. The 10th Mountain is a massive unit. Like it went away in 35 years.
Yeah, it did. It went away, man. It went away.
And even if it didn't go away, they don't send soldiers anywhere to do TDY. I don't know. It's temporary duty station for any non-military people. It's when you're traveling, in the United States or non-combat related travel. It's called TDY.
Right. This is just such an interesting story.
For a long time that it's been torn apart, or I don't know what the military expression is for that. He strikes up a conversation with these young guys and they tell him, oh, no. The old Joint Task Force 6 is now being continued, and it's known as JTF, Joint Task Force Southern Border. Now, for those of you who are like me who don't know, like literally what it sounds like, Joint Task Force, meaning like you can get the Army, Navy, everybody kind of working together on something. And they're like, yeah, it's now JTF Southern Border. And they give him directions of how he can actually get to the new command.
Okay, so this is the day before Charlie Kirk is assassinated. And he wants to see the sunrise. So we're talking whatever time sunrise would be in Arizona. I'm going to go with, it's always hot in Arizona, but it's early in the morning. So there's not a long window of time to get this done. He just runs into a bunch of randoms at the Dunkin', and they start talking. And they say, oh, yeah, by the way, our secret, nobody knows about it, nondescript bunker is down the street around the corner, turn left at the pine tree.
Yeah. Hey, we were
Okay.
once this joint task force, and now we're this new joint task force. Like, what?
Right. We used to be Weapon X. Now we're Weapon 11. Shout out to anybody who knows what Weapon X is.
Yeah.
All right.
Command center. They tell them that they're actually currently borrowing a building down there. And he tells me that there would have been no other way he would have discovered where it was. So his intention was to go to Army CID. Now he's like, wow, I can go directly to the actual JTF 6, which is now being continued. And
That's not the way it works. It doesn't be. It's like now it's continued as something else. Like what?
It doesn't work like that?
No.
They don't get
It's not like
the,
that.
again, Weapon X becomes Weapon 11? Weapon 12? Come on, man.
It's really hard.
It
It's
is-
really hard to watch people like this talk about shit that they clearly don't understand.
And, okay, so let me ask you again. Who do you think is deceived? The person that is telling the story or Candace that is believing and retelling it to us? Or
I don't know.
and you do the option of both, but
I don't know.
who is it?
I could see it'd be both ways, but I mean, she has to know that it's not legit, right? If she would just
Right.
talk to anybody, like find one subject matter expert on anything that you've been discussing. Did you reach out to one person that was a part of JTF6, right, from back in the day? Did you find anyone that you could get on the record to be like, yes, that there was a guy who found this tunnel and he was lower and we didn't give him the credit we should have? Like, did you find anything like that? No, you didn't. You ran a story within 24 hours of getting a tip on it.
And that part right there. So back to the point I made earlier, when her story starts to die down, she gets a new tip. Like, because I think we would all say, like, well, did you verify this? Did you take the time to verify this? No, she really ran with it because she needed something to carry on into the week. And so I really believe that this, because her momentum was dying, this alleged story came in, however she got it, and she ran with it in order to keep this, keep momentum, because you got to end on a cliffhanger every episode of the soap opera.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's keep it going.
and get some answers. What luck. It is now around 7:37 a.m. when he enters the new or temporary
So 7:37, he was looking for the crime, whatever place. He left base, went to Duncan, ran into his old squad, got the new directions, and it's only 7:15 in the morning?
Yeah, units.
What blessed time?
No one's
What
at
time
work.
was he up?
Yeah, no one's at work in the office at 7:30 in the morning. That's
No.
like PT time, and then breakfast. Get your stuff ready. Usually, it's
Yeah.
not, between 8 and 9. Some people will get there early, I guess, but it's like nothing's happening to where you could go talk to anybody, right? Like staff duty's not, or CQ is not letting you into the building. It's all insane.
Well, in a minute, they're going to let him in the building. Not only are they going to let him in the building, he's getting into the building. Let's go.
JTF headquarters, and he sees two guys, and he's pretty impressed. He's like, whoa, these are, again, military term, E4, E5s. He told me that means that they're lieutenant colonels, and they are the ones that are checking.
It's not lieutenant colonels,
Okay. What branch of military is she referring to?
right? Because ranks are different. I mean,
Right.
the Army and the Air Force are pretty close, but Marines, Navy are different. So, like, what are we talking about? And if it's a joint task force, who are we looking at? Are we looking at, like,
Good question.
like who is this? But I can tell you that there's no E4s or E5s in any of the branches of the military that are also lieutenant colonels. That does not exist.
It does not exist. I love it. Let's go.
him in. He happens to walk in at the exact time that they are concluding a meeting, and he is kind of even more impressed because he sees about 12 lieutenant colonels. He tells me, you do not see that many people, that many.
Okay. When she first walked in, didn't he see two lieutenant colonels?
Right.
He already saw two walking.
lieutenant colonels. Yeah.
Right. But he sees these guys come out and he's really impressed with them because those are lieutenant colonels. But what about the two that you just saw? So there'd be like 14 lieutenant colonel.
Dude, and you're not getting into this building, right? You're not just like walking into a building where they're having a
That's
meeting.
the part.
Especially a meeting, if there was a bunch of colonels in this meeting, you're not getting anywhere close to this meeting. Like, what are we talking about right now?
I don't know, man. I really don't.
E4s, E5s, E6s. Please, military guys, forgive me for me not knowing what the proper vernacular. But he just goes, well, what's going on? He's like, you don't see this unless you're at the Pentagon or you're at the White House. You just don't see this many high up the food chain lieutenant colonels. He's going, man, this is a pretty important meeting.
So
go ahead. Go ahead. I know what you're about to say. Go ahead.
Another thing is lieutenant colonel is not a high rank.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's 05, right? So it's right before you get into the flag and general officer. It's 2 away from being a general. So, but it's not like Pentagon level brass walking around. Like that would be a bunch of different generals, right? Or even a full bird colonel, like that would be in charge of a battalion level, group level operation at that point. So we're different. SF is groups. And we do have battalions, so that's kind of the same as like Army line units, but then armies would have like brigade and then division. SF, we don't have brigades, we have groups.
Got you. So, so who are these people that she sees, or that John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt sees? Who are they?
Nope, doesn't make any sense. They don't exist.
And then he sees 3 men walk out, one of which is the person he identifies as the person that's the center of the action, right? He said you could just tell this is the most important person. And he has gray hair. He's got glasses. I believe he said that he's about 5'10". And at this point, he sees that the person that is with him, and he said, certain that the person that is with him is Brian Harpole. Yeah. Okay. Oh, it's about to get even more interesting.
I have the video clip right here of Brian Harpole talking to Sean Ryan about their trip to Japan and how he was there with Charlie Kirk and him eating sushi and all that kind of jazz with him. And then later on the Charlie Kirk show, them talking about the trip to Asia and mentioning Brian Harpole, as well as the, I guess it's a TikTok from Charlie Kirk of him in South Korea, and you see Brian Harpole right behind him the few days before he came back to the United States. At what point is Candace going to just finally realize that she's being punked? Like,
I don't know if she can. She's just going to move on to the next thing and just act just like she moved on from the Egyptian thing, and just like she moved on from the cars and then the Israeli cell phones and like all this different things, all these things that she has, and then she just moves on from them, and then it's to the next thing, the next big tip.
Amazing. Let's go.
So, and again, I'm going to say allegedly because I wasn't there.
Of course you weren't.
But I have spoken to this guy, and I very much trust what he is saying. I think he is very credible. Okay.
Based on what?
So he sees Brian Harpole come out, this older guy, and what then happens is first the guys that are checking him in are friendly. He explains to them, this is what happened to me. I just want to speak to somebody. They're like, yeah, let me help you. Then all of a sudden, after Brian, who he believes to be Brian Harpole, who he's not obviously recognized at that time, he would not have known that was Brian Harpole, but he remembers him.
She said,
obviously, because then the biggest political assassination since JFK happens.
Say again?
Didn't she say he recognized him at that time? And now she's saying he didn't recognize him at that time?
That's a great question. Let me back that up. So when
the person that's the center of the action, right? He said you could just tell this is the most important person. And he has gray hair. He's got glasses. I believe he said that he's about 5'10". And at this point, he sees that the person that is with him, and he said, certain that the person that is with him is Brian Harpole.
See, she says he identified.
I'm pretty certain. I'm not a tall guy by any means or measures. So because I'm short, I know people that are tall. I can tell. Brian Harpole looks tall to me. He looks more than 5'10". I'm 5.
I don't know if she was saying that was him, or if she was talking about the commander, the guy in charge of the room, the way she phrased it. Because she
okay, maybe so, but
I don't know.
I feel like she was saying it was Brian, but okay, I'll take that if it's not. I'll accept that. Anyway, it does sound like he's saying at that moment he recognized Brian Harple.
Yep.
Okay, I can get that. I can hear that language. And I don't know if that's her, retelling the story like a clown, or him actually conveying that message to her, like, oh, I knew it was Brian Harple, but okay.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, it's about to get even more interesting.
What's about to get interesting?
So, and again, I'm going to say allegedly because I wasn't there, but I have spoken to this guy, and I very much trust what he is saying. I think he is very credible. Okay. So he sees Brian Harple come out, this older guy, and he has, what then happens is first the guys that are checking him in are friendly. He explains to them, this is what happened to me. I just want to speak to somebody. They're like, yeah, let me help you. Then all of a sudden after Brian.
He just walked in there and retold that story from 35 years ago.
Yeah, it never happened. Like none of this would ever happen.
To the secretary or the receptionist, and they just said, we're going to help you.
It would be staff duty, which would be so there's all buildings in the military, most buildings in the military, especially like if they have any kind of classified information, they have what's called staff duty, where it's 24 hours. There's always somebody there and somebody awake, right? So there is staff duty lines that you can call for certain reasons and so on and so forth. Those people, but they're also in charge of like checking you in or like whatever, especially depending on what level of classification this building is under. Like you're just not, I don't know. None of this makes sense.
Who he believes to be Brian Harple, who he's not obviously recognized at that time. He would not have known that was Brian Harple, but he remembers him, obviously, because then the biggest political assassination since JFK happens. Suddenly, somebody hits the panic button, and two captains come out, and they escort him out of the building, and they begin what becomes a 7-hour interrogation. Okay. They think he's a spy. How did you?
So let's just say for easy math, this is 9:00 in the morning, just for easy math. That means he was with them until 4 p.m. in the afternoon, the day before Charlie Kirk died. Okay. I just want to make sure y'all tracking with me. The timeline doesn't even make sense, much less the story that's in that we're supposed to jerry rig and hamstring into the timeline. This makes no sense at all. But
this meeting? How did you know this meeting was taking place? He's being asked a bunch of questions. They're putting pressure on him. They're gaslighting him. I actually want to, if you give me a second, I want to read exactly what he messaged me about what took place.
Now she's gonna pull her phone up. I'll tell you anything.
It's incredible. It's actually just incredible how he describes what their strategy here of attempting to gaslight him into believing that he was a spy or that he was working for somebody. And he's like, no, I'm just here over an incident that happened 35 years ago. I'm trying to get answers regarding it, and they're putting pressure on him. I'm going to write this verbatim.
Oh, yeah, please read it verbatim.
He says he's being interrogated. He is, quote, being accused of being a bomb threat because I was special forces in the military, EOD in the military.
Wait, hold on.
So now he's EOD?
Yeah, wait. I don't remember him being special forces in the beginning.
No, this is the first time she mentions that. Or EOD.
Yeah, he wasn't special force. He was just a lowly censor guy. Remember that?
Yeah.
I don't want to run back to the beginning.
Now the story's
changed. Now he got a you know what it was? He got a promotion while he was when he signed the NDA.
Yep. With
that expired at 35 years.
Like SF promotion that exists.
There you go. I don't understand how this get.
This is the craziest shit.
This is crazy. You know what Candace really should be doing? Trying to put her show on Cartoon Network or Comedy Network, because that's the only place where this would be taken seriously, because people would seriously be laughing at it. Let's go.
They then attempted to try to gaslight me to see if they could angle an accusation of me being a threat to others or myself. When all of that fell flat, they then conferenced with base commander after I assumed they verified that I was not there to spy on that particular meeting. They decided it was okay to send me off post. That's when I drove a Tucson. I got a room. The next morning, I turned in my rental car. I got on a plane back home, and I had to stop in Salt Lake. Upon landing and turning on the phone, my wife is telling me about Charlie Kirk. And again, this was just a coincidence. I happened to be in the airport at the time that you are talking about all of those strange flights that were taking place there. I did not notice anything helpful other than the fact that the airport was not very crowded. So after 7 hours, he explains to me that they were going to, they debated holding him for 48 hours for this perceived, perhaps maybe bomb threat spy thing that's happening. And he's thinking, can you imagine this? They're paranoid, but he's paranoid and thinking, oh my gosh, this is more like Sinaloa cartel stuff. And I'm being treated like this because I've wanted to speak out about this story for 35 years. Both of them are wrong. Okay. Both of them are wrong. This really is just a coincidence. And adding to this coincidence is the fact and that he got the commander's name that obviously that questioned him for this long. He says this was the guy that was in charge, the commander. And he.
What's the likelihood that the commander is somebody who has a last name that sounds like somebody that she has beef with? What's the over and under?
Well, I mean, who is she talking about? Is she talking about the post commander? Because like the post commander,
that's a good question.
And like, who got you? Who got this guy? Was it some random captains? Was it CID? Was it like a counterterrorism unit? Like who actually questioned this dude? Because none of this makes sense. Like none of this is looking, and they wouldn't then conference in the post commander. That's insane. That's like that dude is in charge of post, and you're going to conference him in and be like, hey, we think we got a dude, but it turns out we don't think he's real. We're going to just let him go. And he's like, all right, bros, thanks for calling me. Like,
appreciate you letting me know what's going on.
Yeah,
here it comes.
He said he was approximately 36 years old. He had brown hair, the one I'm talking about that was leading the charge on asking him all the questions and interrogating him, and that his name was Captain Neff.
Captain Neff.
Neff. The fact that she really thinks this is going somewhere is going to have to be studied by science. I mean, science is going to have to step in and help us with this one. How serendipitous is this? The week that she starts hating Blake Neff of TPUSA, she runs into his cousin in some kind of fantastical Mission Impossible greenlit high table story where his cousin is involved in it.
This is stupid. This is like,
y'all make this woman make sense.
I'm going. Now, I have the same question that you have because I've looked and it does seem that, and I never even questioned this, whether or not it's potential that Blake Neff has military connections as well. Like, I guess that kind of like, I just thought this is the producer of Charlie Kirk show, but it is interesting that somebody, and this would be a brother, cousin, I don't know, this is the person that interrogated him. And eventually, he says, was a person that had a heart and realized that he was not a part of any spy network and eventually escorted him off of the base and onto his way. That's a lot of coincidence for me. Now, he says to me, he communicated this to me very clearly. He said, Candace, I know how these meetings work. These are the meetings that are had ahead of an operation. Like when an operation is being confirmed, you have these final meetings and they involve all of the higher ups.
How does he know how meetings work when he hasn't been a part of the military, whatever branch,
that's also
for 35 years?
That's not how they work. There's specific people within chains of command or within a part of an operation that would have meetings, yes. But like there's no. I can't even, it's insane.
This is bonkers. Okay, let's go.
And you are trying to do this in a very isolated location where, people are not going to accidentally happen upon you because they've got something to say about what happened 35 years ago. And that is what he happened upon. And I don't know what to make of this information other than he feels that he then recognized these people. He feels certain that he recognized these people in the days following Charlie Kirk's assassination.
So this is a very interesting, and I wanted to ask you this. Did you hear what she said? She's sure that that he recognized these people in the days after Charlie. What people is she referring to?
The military people, because again, this was a military operation somehow.
Right, because we got the maroon shirts. Hold on, get your maroon ready. Get your maroon ready.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though. The 10th Mountain is not an airborne unit, so.
Oh, that's right. Darn it! Don't interrupt our fanciful story. Like, what in the world is this?
And a bunch of people are doing Fox News, and obviously, then we've got a massive event at a stadium, and everybody is in front of the camera eulogizing him. He feels confident that he recognizes these people, and that needs to be shared.
So I'm really picking up from her the way she's telling this, that the people who were on Fox News, the people who the media was interviewing post Charlie Kirk, were military people that he saw at that meeting in that secret building that he should never been to.
Yep.
Is that what you're picking up?
Yeah. They would definitely
That's
go hang
wild.
out. Yeah, they would be the secret co-conspirators, and they go hang out at the crime scene just to, just to make sure everything's going according to plan.
So in the movie The Game with Michael Douglas, remember that? Did you see the movie? It was a great movie. And remember that part where everybody that was involved in he saw in the world was actually in the lunchroom, like eating lunch. That's what she's saying here. Like, oh yeah, they're just chilling. Yeah. And then they go out and they just do life out in the game, but then they're eating breakfast or lunch in the cafeteria. That's crazy work. I can't believe that she doesn't see this as being. She's so hungry for this story to go in another direction. I don't know why she's fighting like this. Yeah, but my goodness, in the morning, this has got to be.
He's willing to tell a story. Like I said, I have verified. He has sent me so many documents, everything from his high school graduation certificate to his military documents to the police records to everything that he's speaking about that happened back then, NDAs, judges, things that he's been in court with fighting just to get out his story of what happened 35 years ago when he did the right thing.
How did he get that information to her in that short window of time for her to quote unquote verify it?
Yep.
I guarantee you she doesn't have anything.
No, nothing. Nothing at all. And what does his birth certificate or high school what does that have to do with anything? Right? Like, look, he sent me his high school diploma. And you're like, okay. So like most people graduate high school. I don't know why that's a novel thing.
Right, that's a momentous occasion. Shout out to him. Shout out to him for graduating 12th grade. Shout out. But yeah, this is such a weird story. And like, how did he give you this information for you to verify? That's the part that I'm going to stick with. How did you verify it in a short window of time when, again, the 920 building, you couldn't verify that after 3 weeks? I'm going to bring that up again.
Right.
When he stumbled upon, and boy, does he have some luck. Boy, does he have some luck that he goes from one government conspiracy to what he now believes he stumbled upon, which would be another government conspiracy. Okay. He said that this commander, Neff, by the way, was the commander of force protection. Best he could tell, he did not get the first name. He did get an incident number, which I should have.
Which is crazy work that she's going to read this off. Why didn't you go? So is it fair to say, hold on, let me ask you, Green Beret Nap Time. Is it fair to say that she has not verified that this report that she's about to read the number to exists?
Oh, yeah. How would she have?
Why are you not?
What kind of incident report is this? Is this a post-incident report? Like what agency is it through? Like, is it through the Army? Like, what are we talking about here? Because it could be.
Because we never know. She's never actually told us what branch of military it is. Like we started in the beginning.
She said Army one time about something, but I don't remember. I don't know if it was like,
Yeah, she said Army at one time, but again, I'm not 100% certain that's exactly what she meant, but I got your point.
Yeah.
Because the way she said it was like Army person. So I'm not 100% certain. I don't think she knows what she's talking about, but let's go.
I've had prepared for you, but I can find it here in our chat because he sent me that too. He said there would have been no record for this if they didn't swarm me as if there was a bomb threat, because now, of course, there is an actual incident report, and he believes that this can be FOIA requested. And that report number,
let's say it really was an incident report at I live by an Air Force base here. So there was an incident report, there's an Air Force base. Can Can I just FOIA it, call and ask for a FOIA request?
You can try, but again, you don't know who to even call to give this report to. Like, you would have to figure out who uses this specific report format, incident report format, and then figure out who you needed to ask for that information. She knows that no one's going to be able to find this because
Correct.
it doesn't exist. So it doesn't matter. So it's just like another thing. And then if you tried to actually find it, and then you were like, hey, I looked through all the possibilities. This incident report doesn't exist, or it doesn't even mimic what would be an actual incident report number. She would be like, oh, well, they must have changed it because it's all part of the conspiracy. Like, there's just no winning.
There's none. And let me also say another reason why you almost know for a fact this does not exist, because if this number existed and it was able to be found, Cantifa would have found it and would be plastering all over Twitter. We wouldn't have to look because the Candies would have already posted it for us. So the fact that they haven't posted it gives you yet more confirmation it doesn't really exist.
I'm going to try to write it down as she say it, and then we'll see.
Okay, Tom, you ready?
See if we can. Yeah, go ahead.
You will bear with me. I'm going to read that to you all because I think this is going to take really the whole world to investigate. It is 8611-2025-MPC 446. So that
Does that look right?
Yeah.
I don't know if she reads it again.
is the report number that was given to him by this Captain Commander Neff. And like I said, he has given me I could have just put up documents upon documents certifying.
Why don't you just put up a document? Just one thing. And not his high school graduation certificate.
Any document.
Anything that would corroborate what we're reading right here or hearing right now. Any of that would be great.
He was there certifying that this happened, whether or not his descriptions and whether or not the people that he thinks he actually saw at this base, I don't know. What I will say is that something that I could easily have done was to see whether or not I asked him, did you see Dan Flood? No. Well, that checks out because Dan Flood was with Charlie in Korea. And I am wondering about that. Like, why would you want to go to Japan a day before you?
If I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong, so I'm sure the chat will correct me. I thought Dan Flood was security at TPUSA, and Brian Harpole was like security, personal security when he's out and abroad.
Yeah, I think so.
I could be wrong, but I might. Does that make sense? Am I right?
I think
Okay.
so. But,
Okay, so it seemed like if I heard him correctly, and I'm again, I don't know anything, so y'all correct me. Dan Flood would be, if you were at home, that would be your security person, Dan Flood. But if I go out and abroad, then Green Beret nap time is personal security when I'm out and abroad. That makes sense because that rhymes with what Brian Harpole told Sean Ryan about them being in Japan and Asia, as well as the team at Charlie Kirk's show when they were talking about going to Asia. So I don't know why, again, the big slam dunk about Dan Flood, but the fact that she's trying to incriminate Brian Harpole and saying that he's a part, that's so gross, man. Let's just get done.
Yeah, that's insane.
You have a college campus event, right? You have Charlie on the 5th and on the 6th of September. He is in Korea doing an event. And then on the 7th, he's in Japan and he is on CNN News Japan speaking. And so, yeah, like on the 8th, if that's when he left, maybe he left on the 9th, you got a 12-hour flight back home. And I have questions and somebody out there knows something. And
that rhymes with what Frank Turek said about when he came back from Japan, that he only had a few hours before they were going to start the campus tour. So that rhymes. So the fact that she says it in such a condemning, accusing way, really, it's kind of gross. It's just gross to hear.
It is.
Like, how dare you do this? Like, why are you doing it? Ma'am, go somewhere and sit down. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't know what to say other than this feels right.
Don't say anything.
this feels right to me. This feels to me, as we were speaking about yesterday, about global trafficking and cartels and the government involved in this somehow and implicated in this somehow in ways that we don't quite understand, but that we know involves the highest possible levels of corruption, that this feels right. And like I said, he is not hiding. He is done hiding. He has been silenced for 35 years, running from his life and being gaslit about that, in the same way that I am being gaslit about that. And I have a very terrifying update for you regarding people that have been trying to assassinate me. And speaking to him was, I guess, like emotionally qualifying, because exactly what
Like,
There's a lot of feelings going on.
feelings.
It just feels right. Emotionally, it just feels right.
So she went from facts over feelings, facts don't care about your feelings, to now literally everything feels.
Mm-hmm.
Everything feels. And again, and maybe I've just never had an international hit out on my life. Maybe you just treat it like it's, a walk in the park. I would be losing my mind. I would, if I had any information that Green Beret nap time was going to come and do damage to me and hurt me, I'm putting it all out here. It would be a stream running, just a constant 24-hour stream. Jay Witt podcast is on talking about Green Beret nap time is coming to do me harm. Here's all the evidence and proof of that fact. Mm-hmm. I still haven't seen one smidgen of anything that this is true.
Yeah.
Not one stitch. And mind you, she just took 30 minutes to tell us this fantastical knockoff Hallmark story, script story. Oh yeah, by the way, let me tell you about these people trying to assassinate me too. Like, why was that not the biggest, most important bit of this story?
She wasn't worried about them people going to mass, though.
Oh my gosh, man. I mean, technically, she's putting everybody in danger everywhere she goes.
Yep.
I mean, she's literally putting other people's lives in danger by going to the Quick Trip. Your run to the dry cleaners is putting my life in danger.
Yep.
he's been going through, I've been going through. He didn't have the platform to be able to get his name out. And I said to him, like, do you want to come out? And he said, yeah, I've been silent for 35 years. He said, I watch your stuff and I can't believe that you got this email. And I said to him, the chances of me seeing this were basically slim to none. And it was the first email that was in my box, and I just called you. And I feel God moving in that. And
now, if I said, I feel God telling me to tell you to stop talking this foolishness, that would be me hiding behind the Bible and being a fake Christian. Yep. But you can feel God.
You can't make this stuff up, dude.
You really can't.
Insane.
You really can't. And you know what? Let me also, you realize that she's putting her whole family in danger. Like, it's not just her. It is her husband and her children. But she's, hey, okay. I just want to make sure I had it right. This woman is crazy, man.
Despite just the utterly demonic and satanic action and the level of collusion that had to take place for 9/10 to happen, I do also know, as I have always known spiritually, that they wouldn't get away with it. And I think Charlie, whatever vision he had, in which he knew his life would be short, and which he knew that I would not let this go because I somehow feel tied to it. And we're seeing more and more every day that somehow I am tied to this. I think that
the more you tie yourself to something, the more you'll be tied to it.
Honestly, you can't hate this person enough. Like, she is just the epitome of everything that's terrible. Like, she's sitting here talking about Charlie Kirk like they were friends or on speaking terms, which they weren't for years, right? So this is like verified. Like, he wasn't talking to her for the last few years when she lost her mind. And and now he's gone and she's trying to burn his entire legacy down. Yeah. And then act like the victim in it all too. It's insane.
Whenever somebody pushes back, how dare you attack me?
It's insane.
But boy, I got this blowtorch out here. I must blowtorch and stuff. How dare you? Hey, leave me alone. I'm just blowtorching stuff.
It's terrible.
This is God operating. I really do. I think, bless this man. Thank you so much for your service to this country. I know that he said he would love to meet Ian Carroll, and I guess he's watching his stuff, and I will obviously make that happen and much more in the coming days. I don't expect the feds to reach out. I don't expect them to be interested in this angle or this potential meeting that I think they probably already knew about. I do hope, though, that somebody else saw something and somebody knows the quickest way to FOIA request that stuff. Somebody knows how to get behind this so we can get information. I've given you the dates. I've given you the...
You do realize she just told y'all she didn't do any research.
She's hoping other people will FOIA the
Right. She just told you that she didn't do it. That's craziness.
It's insane. And people still believe this stuff. And then she has more tips. Send
Right.
me more tips so I can talk about them online and make money off of all you idiots.
Because this is her. Hold on. Somebody sent me something especially for you to play. So I got to play this after we get done. If you got a second. Okay. It's a short clip about something she's talking about. All right. But you do realize that this tip line right here is the real MVP of the show. I think it's the main character and the main villain of this whole scenario, because everything she gets from this tip line drives the next episode or couple episodes and whatever of that nature. Because I can only imagine the stuff she gets in there. I can only imagine the people that want to feel like I need some notoriety. I need main character syndrome. Let me touch bases with her. All right, we'll finish.
Times he has given so much more, and I know I just thank God that I saw that email. We're going to pause there, and if you guys know anything, obviously email us.
All right, that's the end of it. Oh my gosh! All right, Green Beret nap time. How'd you fare, man?
It's just painful. That's the second time I've watched that, and that's more than I really wanted to ever have to listen to that woman. But here we go. Oh, we got more.
All right, yeah, I'm about to drag you back into the swamp. I'm sorry.
Let's do it.
All right, so shout out to MT real quick. MT sent this and asked me to let you play this for you. She said, so I gotta give the people they're asking for. Let's go. All right, green hearts in the chat when y'all can hear. Let me make sure it's nice and loud. Green hearts in the chat when y'all can hear.
Sky Blue writes, will you be looking into the Idaho 4 case? Yes. I know this is off topic, but I can't believe what I'm seeing. Your perspective would be valuable. Yep. I have done probably thus far 6 hours of research. It is very scary. Potential military operation. I don't know. I know that I have never believed the official story that was given to us. None of it made any sense. And I am wondering if more people were involved. I didn't immediately go deep down the rabbit hole of that story, despite expressing my views publicly that I thought something was very wrong and something was very sinister, because there were students involved. And I just felt like it was more appropriate to allow those families to mourn. But now that some time has passed, and of course, still understanding that you are still going to be mourning over that, we do need to get to the truth of that, because it happened on a college campus and the media was not honest about other elements of this case. And I think that, I think there's something very dark happened there, and that the government is trying to cover a lot of it up, which is evident by how much they're locking down in the court cases alone.
Wow. Wow. How much of that sounds exactly like the Charlie Kirk story? Like,
yeah.
If you just remove a couple of words, just a few words, maybe 6.
What was that talk? What was she actually talking about there?
The Idaho 4. I think this is, if I'm not mistaken, it's the 4 students that were killed.
Yeah.
And I think there's like a TikTok psychic involved in the craziness, accused a professor of doing it, but it was really another student.
All right.
I think that's it. And I'm sure the chat will set me straight if I'm wrong. But it's the Kohnberger. I think that's it.
The guy
Kohlberger. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
But wow. That's interesting, because what she said right there could literally be laid over this story, or laid over really the Macron story or the Epstein.
Any story.
She says the same stuff all the time. I never noticed that.
Yeah, so the government is not going to tell you everything, especially when there's an active investigation going on or a manhunt. Because for the first, how long was they on a manhunt for Charlie's killer?
33, 34 hours, something like that.
Yeah. So while that's going on, they're only going to release information that's pertinent to solving that manhunt. They're not going to release anything else. And then this all is going through a court of law. They're trying to get him on capital murder, right? So they're trying to give him the death penalty. They're not going to release a bunch of stuff that could jeopardize their case and then taint the jury pool. So that's another thing. They're always like, we need answers to this. Like, well, you'll get answers after the trial, right? And then you can look at the court documents once they're released to the public, and you can see the autopsy that was used in court, because all that'll be released to the public at that point. But yeah, so this is the problem: is she's using the already distrust in our institutions that have occurred since COVID. Really, I mean, there's a lot of distrust in institutions before that, but COVID really was like the catalyst. Now that everyone's like,
it pushed everybody over.
Yeah,
right.
they're all against us. It's all these organizations are against us. Blah 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 blah. So she's running with that, and now there's people, because they believe this other stuff. Now they're going to be like, oh, they are covering this up too, because they're not telling us. Like, no, they're just not telling you because your name's not special agent or prosecutor or ADA or whatever is involved in this case.
Facts.
That has a need to know that information for the case. Like, they don't tell me either, guys. Like, so
you're not the only one that's not being told. Right?
Yeah, like people, all these people today. There's so many people that are entitled. They think they're entitled to this information and knowing exactly what happened. Like, that's just not the way it works.
It doesn't.
I wish there was a different way. But there's other countries that do full media blackouts on anything involving that case until the case goes through court, so that nothing gets messed up. There can't be a mistrial or something. So that's all this is going to potentially generate a mistrial for Tyler Robinson. And then she's going to be like, see, I was right. Like, you engineered this mistrial with all of the shit you put out. And now you're going to like claim that you were the one that was right in it. It's insane.
Yeah. Hey, there are a couple of questions for you. Do you have time?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to clear through these supers, and I did see a couple of questions directly to you. Thank you so much for the love of Jesus with the 5. As a fellow Catholic, you spew hate. There went to church. As my priest says, don't be a saint in church and a demon outside. I would absolutely pay money to find out what Candace's pastor, priest, parish, whatever, her church affiliation, what do they think about her behavior? That would be an interview I would love to have.
Isn't she a part of that weird French? Is it French? Weird French, like Catholic?
It's a sect. I know they're gonna put it in the chat. It's like, don't quote me on this, SSP something. They're gonna put it in the chat. I know it, but it is a very yeah. You're correct. But it'll pop up in the chat. I'm sure I'll show it in a second. Let me keep this going. Thank you so much, Amy. John Wick 5 trailer ongoing text to an all international assassins. Candace Farmer is excommunicada. 1.5 million American. I absolutely love it. Look, great. I love John Wick. I think John Wick is totally self-aware that it's just obnoxious. But remember when they were in Paris and the bounty kept going up and there were more and more assassins were chasing them? I would absolutely love. Hey, there we go. Let's keep it going. Thank you so much for the 2. Know what else starts with a tip? Babies, you are out of control. I saw that one earlier and he walked into that one. Ruben says this with the 5. Pay attention to what she says at the end of the news clips. She confirms there were military pictures when it was not in the case, which, yes, she does say that. And we stopped and Green Bray and I started talking, but you are correct. She does say that, but it's not in the pictures at all or in the video at all. Because I think that would have been insane back then. Keep it going. Amethyst with the 5. I wonder if her team is going rogue, sabotaging her scripts and using Chat GPT. Imagine they're all Judas. Aren't they misproducing her show? I would like to believe that, but I don't know. I don't know. Amethyst came again. We should pray for her team to confess their enemy alliance, their contributions to her evil, their sin. I mean, I like what you're saying there. Craftsman says this, the news segment, I found the info. It was a U.S. Customs linked to find it. It was also on .gov, what lies beneath. See, it wasn't anything special. That's the part.
We just took an old story and try to add some life to it with all this new weird stuff to like to lend credibility to the fact that she just made up a fucking story.
I'm right there. I'm like, so do you think, okay, so, and I kind of asked this question before. Did somebody actually send that to her? Or do you think she just outright made it up?
Again, I mean, does it really matter?
It really doesn't. I'm just wondering.
Because either someone sent that to her and it was crazy as hell and she knew it was crazy as hell and she was like, I'm still putting this up because I need a segment tomorrow.
Right.
Which is very possible. Like, I need a segment, so I'm going to make some shit up and put it up there. So either way, it's the same level of just nastiness, I think,
So when she says he's ready to come on and do an interview and so on and so forth, she's just lying.
Well, again, so if this person, if there was a person who actually sent her this stuff, they're not whoever they say they are, because they weren't even using correct military terms. So
that is correct.
She doesn't know military terms. She's using what that person was using. So either they don't know either, or she just made it up and then she doesn't know the terms. So she's just blaming it on this fake.
So, okay. And again, I'm finding it fascinating because she keeps getting these really verbose tips that, again, there's just key elements that people can pick out and see that they're wrong. And I'm just wondering if somebody is at home sending her this stuff and they themselves don't know, or they didn't find the information correct, whatever. Or they're just giving enough so that you and I can be like, man, what the world? Like, this don't make no sense. And I'm going to say it again, the 920 building. The cartels are after you and you go to Arizona.
Right. I'm gonna check out Juarez right quick because the cartels want me dead, but it'll be fine. I just got
it'll be all good.
35 years of WITSEC. I'm gonna go find the truth now.
Right. That's a great call, man. Thank you so much, Phantom. All right. Not all S5 or SF look like SF. What's SF?
Special Forces.
Special Forces. They do not have a look.
Well,
but wait, hold on, because we know they be rocking that maroon though.
So that's airborne. We are airborne, technically, but we get a green hat. So the maroon hat is your airborne operations, not SF. It's completely different. I can generally pick out an SF dude, especially if there's more than one, anywhere in the world. If I walk, like I could, some kind of either special ops or SF, they do all kind of have a look. Now, I will say, when you get to your like orange, your higher level CAG, that kind of stuff, yes, those dudes can fluctuate more in what they some of them are a little less or more unassuming, I guess you could say, especially if you're doing the secret squirrel stuff, right? Then you might, you don't want to have a bunch of tattoos and be walking around everywhere like, being identifiable. Like, so there are, yes, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, your average ODA, like an operational detachment alpha, which is a team for an SF unit, your average ODA dudes all look pretty much like ODA dudes. I'll just put it that way. Okay.
Welcome so much to I Am Gal. Thank you so much for becoming a brand new member. I appreciate you. What is this one right here? MT says this with the 5. The day before Charlie was unalived, he was already back in the U.S. Also, Harpole was with him in Asia. There's video of Charlie on Charlie's channel. Right. I showed that, or rather I have it queued up. I could play it. But yes, keeping it moving. You're a lieutenant colonel. Everyone's a lieutenant colonel. Oprah Winfrey. Well, there you go. You got I don't know, is that a promotion for you?
Oh, it'd have been a big promotion for me.
Well, there you go. Well, congratulations, sir. Yeah. There you go, man. Shout out. Amy's doling them out left and right. Thank you for that, Amy. Emailed you a video. Okay, this is it. Yep. Thank you so much, MT. I appreciate it with that $2 for sure. Phantom says, it's dumbest story ever. I think her 4-year-old wrote it.
It really could be. That's how bad it's so bad that it's like when I watch a terrible, like a B movie about the military, like a crappy one that they clearly didn't consult anyone inside of any military channels at all for anything that they did. That's what this feels like. It's like people that are talking about the military, like they've never actually been around the military.
Got you. Look, that's what it would have sounded if I had written it. That's why I admit I don't know what I'm talking about, and I wanted you to come on and talk. All right. She makes a drunk pirate sound like a wise philosopher. Johnny Depp could have beat this if he couldn't beat this if he was stone cold sober. If you know, you know. Thank you so much for the $5. I think this is the one I was looking for. So this guy was 20 when he went down. And okay, so he was 20 when he went down, and he was put in witness protection. That means he was in the military for 2 years max. If he joined at 18, yet he's a military expert, wow, case closed.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for the 10. That's what I'm talking about. Like, that doesn't.
No, it makes sense.
That's what I'm saying. I think she just walked right into that buzzsaw. Mm-hmm. And the story, I do think somebody sent this to her. I just think the person who sent it to her has nefarious intent of her reading. It's sounding so salacious, so juicy that she has no choice but to run and put it out on the plate and let everybody feast on it and realize that it's rancid. Like, I don't think she took any time to examine this.
No.
Wait, guys. In 1990, El Chapo was still mid-level. Okay, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember. I'm a little bit older than you, so I got to remember like 1990.
Kingpin, timeline.
Yeah, I was 16. Yeah,
I was,
a nobody. He wasn't a kingpin yet. How did he recognize him when he wasn't him yet? Yeah, I had to look that up. That's a great.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And because she said that the commander of this joint task force was pictured with El Chapo.
That is correct.
So yeah, it doesn't.
That's a great point.
Another thing doesn't make sense. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. I'm shout out to them. I'm sitting there thinking like, man, how did this slip by?
When El Chapo took over.
When did El Chapo become El Chapo? That's a great point. Like I hate that it takes. That's why we watch these things together, because I would have missed that, and I would have thought. And when I clicked on, when I started this live stream, I just knew I had all of the questions answered. I had already picked out all the little small problems, but we clearly see that I did not.
Yeah, it's not till really about 95. 93 is when things started shaking up in a power vacuum, and then he really took control in 95. So, yep, MT's correct. Yeah. He wasn't really anybody who would have been considered a kingpin. It's crazy. Like, literally, this is another thing. It took, she could have researched this for 7 minutes and figured that one out and been like, well, hold on, there's a hole in your story.
Right. And what's the likelihood that she would have pushed back on something like that and say, hey, this part of your story doesn't make sense? No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
All right. What does Amy say here? Well, what happened was I was walking out of a 35-year-old military conspiracy and walked right into another one. If it weren't for bad luck, Harry Myers. Yep. Thanks so much for the 5. I mean, where's the lie? That's exactly what she just told us. Yeah. Shout out for Short Goose. Thank you so much for the $20 super. Did anybody else notice how Candace said she was trying to figure out who he would interview with? Wouldn't she want to do the huge bombshell interview? I did pick that up. Mm-hmm. I mean, unless she knows it's fake, I'm just asking questions. Like, that should have been the first.
It's insane. If I was going to bring on a dude that had like insider information, like you're going to need to bring some receipts, bro. And we're going to like do this live, and you're going to have to come out and say who you are. And we're going to have to be able to prove all this shit, because otherwise they're like, what are we talking about? Like, why are we even having this conversation?
No, that's an excellent catch. Excellent catch. Yeah. I heard it, but I don't know. I didn't say anything about it, but I did hear that. I did catch it as well. Is this not the same thing she's doing with Charlie's case? This is the Idaho 4 case she's talking about, guys. Yeah. You could literally take this case. Let me pull it back in real quick just to show y'all. You could take this little snippet right here and, again, just change like 4 or 5 words and get rid of the closed caption. You could change 4 or 5 words in here, and it would sound just like Charlie Kirk's story.
Yep. The
same thing. Don't trust the media. Don't trust the government. That something greater happened. Rabbit hole. I mean, darker. That's crazy that she's so predictable. All right, here goes. This is directly to you, sir. Green Beret nap time. How common is the use of the word Valhalla in U.S. military culture? How common is the U.S. forces how common is it for the U.S. forces to conduct joint training operations? What do you make of the Valhalla VFT coverage on this?
Valhalla is used. It's not like a thing where we're like actually believe in Valhalla, right? It's just like a warrior to warrior kind of thing. It's, see you in Valhalla, brother, that kind of thing. It's generally it's used when someone's passed, right? So like, we'll see you in Valhalla because we're both warriors type of thing. That's all it's really for. So don't look into that too crazily. Joint training operations all the time. It's called either a JSET or JPAT, joint combined exercise training. Happens all the time. Soft world, it happens even more. But other units do it too, especially now with the new SVAB unit, which is like the new regular Army training for regular Army units, foreign regular Army units. So all the time, happens all the time. And I talked about this before because she brings this up, that they were doing this joint training and Foreign Legion was there or something. And like the Foreign Legion probably wasn't there. Maybe they were, but there was definitely, there was absolutely could have been units there from all different nations, whether they be Five Eye, whether they're allied, or just even some nations that aren't allied and they're just trying to actually, do enough stuff with us to become a non-NATO ally, which is kind of a big deal. And then so that happens all the time. And when it does happen, it is very, very controlled. It's very like this goes up all kinds of chains of command. This goes up to probably the post commander is probably aware of this happening wherever the joint training's happening. So it's not something that they're just like coming in. They're like, they get to go do whatever they want to do. Like, no, like this is all structured and very, there's scrutiny all over it. Nate, man, I like Nate. I think sometimes I disagree with him on more things than I actually agree with him on. And I think he's just kind of looking at this could technically happen type of mentality, which I absolutely disagree with. I don't see the plausibility of any of these.
Who's that?
Valhalla VFT, Nate.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not going to
okay. I didn't know the person's name.
or anyone else, especially any other Green Berets. I've called some Green Berets out for some things in the past, and we do police our own. We're an organization that polices our own, even after you're not active anymore. We still police our own, but I do believe from now on we shouldn't be doing it in public. So, if we're gonna have a conversation about something, we'll have a conversation about it like men and kind of figure out differences from there. Like I said, I disagree with his take on all of this, and I think maybe he should look into it a little bit more. But other than that, wish him the best and good things in the future for him.
Okay. I didn't know that was actual. I thought it was still like a training name. I didn't realize it.
Yeah, no, he's
a person. Okay.
He's got a podcast called Valhalla VFT.
Okay. Shout out to him for sure. All right. Let's keep it going. She didn't get you. Oh, that's a good point. She didn't get you because Berger pled guilty or
right.
Kohlberger. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Low IQ Candace. Biggest lie is about the bullet. Oh, here we go. The 30-06 having many rounds with hundreds, if not thousands of variations of hunting, target shooting, and military use differing by bullet weight from 110 to 220 grains. Thank you so much, Grim Princess, for the $20 super. You want to speak on this? Or I know lots of people talked about this.
Yeah, bullets do weird things in bodies, guys. Like especially a bone, glancing off a bone, hitting a bone directly, like all these different things can happen. I saw a lady get shot in Afghanistan and it went literally, she was kind of a bigger lady, and it hit her on the side and went all the way around her back and came out the other side. Didn't hit any organs, it followed a weird path through her, through fat, like body fat, which is, kind of weird. And so I'm checking her, I'm like thinking like she's going to be in big trouble. Like I pull vitals and everything. And then she's like doing fine. She's just in pain. And it's because this bullet, and it was a 7.62. So it's a big bullet, right? I mean, it went through, didn't go through her, followed the fat around her back and then came out the other side without doing anything. So like I said, bullets do weird things. And they hit a bone and they could do even weirder things. Everyone armchair quarterbacking this from their phone or from their watching this on YouTube. And they're like, I saw what happened. Like, no, you didn't. Like, you can't tell. No one is an expert enough to actually look at that video and know exactly what happened with exactly what caliber and exactly what grain weight and all the other things, the factors that come into what that bullet's going to do. What kind of bullet was it? Was it an FMJ? Was it a Parabellum? Like, what are we talking about? So like, we don't know the answer to these questions. And then to pursue these now without all of that information that we don't have and we're not going to have until after this court case, it's asinine, and it's just asking to create these false narratives that don't need to exist. And it's just it's watering down what we really need to be talking about, which is how a young man was indoctrinated by leftist rhetoric and then killed a prominent right-wing, Republican because of that rhetoric. And that's what they don't want you talking about. So that's why we're talking about all this other stuff.
That was a keen point right there. I love it. Thank you so much. I do not condone this type of behavior, Carrie. I do not. I'm not going to even read that. Shame on you. Moderators, put Carrie B in 0-second timeout. And Carrie B, you email management when you've repented for your bad behavior.
But make sure you blind carbon copy just in case, we wanted to see and laugh at it.
Nobody. Now I didn't say that. Now that was who said that. That was this. I'm gonna have to put Green Beret nap time in 0-second timeout next. Man, don't be a guest and get put in timeout, man. Come on, don't do that. What does Goose say with the 10? Has anybody noticed how similarly these big That's my point. These big tips read like it's the same person. I don't think it's the same person. I think it's a team of a couple of people working together to craft these stories. But I don't believe that they're real. I don't believe that at all. Now she says that Ian's going to do the interview. Is that so she won't look like an idiot when it comes out fake? I don't think it's ever going to happen because I don't think the person exists. But I get your point, though. I totally get your point. Thank you, Goose. Does that resonate with you as well, Green Beret? That
yeah,
I think if me and you got together, I think we can make some good stories.
Someone's making them up. Somebody is.
No lie. That's why. You know what? That's why I don't think she posts those.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are so. Because I want that 920 bill. I told her I will stop making videos if she gives me that 920 building email. I want the whole thing. She said it was 7 pages. I want the whole thing. Because I guarantee you, when you read it, it is a mess. Yeah. I went as far as to pull the transcript and try to cock the email out of the transcript because I wanted it that bad. It's bad. What is Phantoms? I'm sorry. Pole says this with a 6. The clever way to discredit her is the tip line. That's what I'm saying. I think the tip line is the biggest op. I think it's the main villain of this story. And appreciate you with the 6 for sure. And Goose is a brand new member. Shout out to you, friend. Thank you. All right. Green Beret nap time. Make your case. Why should all of my subscribers, everybody watching this video, hustle their little selves over to X and hit that follow button? What are they going to get when they come and check out Green Beret nap time on X?
Man, you're not going to get flash and pizzazz. You're going to get normal, like reality checked information. And so that's, again, I started this account a few years ago, and it was just to kind of argue with people because it just seems like there's a lot of people out there that don't actually know history. They don't understand American history. They don't understand, even history back to what, led Europe into World War I and II. They don't understand history before that. So my account is just kind of, I find narratives and I poke holes in them. And then I find it, the color revolution thing that just, the Democrat 6, the seditious 6, if you want to call them that. I don't know if that's allowed to be said, but whatever. I didn't make up the term. But that kind of stuff, like I broke it down with doctrinal information on how that is, in my view, a color revolution is, or at least what they're trying to push a catalyst for it. So that's what you find in my page. Again, it's nothing. You're not going to come here and be like, oh my God, Candace style, like drops about government conspiracies.
Right.
If there is a conspiracy, I'll talk about it, but only the information that I can verify, not made up stuff like some of these people do.
I love it. If the mods could please just make sure that Green Beret nap times, and you also have a YouTube channel as well. I apologize. His YouTube channel as well as his Twitter, but you're most active on Twitter.
Yeah, mostly on Twitter. I'm going to start doing more stuff here, as we go. But
picking fights over there on Twitter.
Yeah,
because it's quiet over on those Twitter streets. Yeah. There's never any up and down. There's never any problems over there.
Yeah. No, there's no arguing on Twitter
until you get over there causing trouble, sir. Okay, real quick. Shout out to what we got here. Ruben says this: when I mentioned Nate, I meant his coverage of that video. He pointed out the inconsistencies, and Candace supporters responded by accusing him of getting the call or taking the $7,000. Okay.
See, that's it. They're always going to do that. They do the same thing to me. The second you push back on anything that she says, you're taking $7,000 and you're blah, blah. I'm like, if they want to give me $7,000, let's talk.
I mean, really. But I'm like, you do realize that you have no evidence to that either.
Right.
When Candace, I think I remember the very first time I paid attention to Candace during the it was a transition period between the Macrones, coming into the Macron case. She had said that there was some Jewish rabbi had put a contract out, and all content creators were getting paid $1,000 to do videos against her. And she was putting out a request for people to send the contract or the email that they had contacted, and she never got anything. And even from then, I'm like, you do realize that she's making this stuff up. So it went from 1,000 to now 7,000. If Jesus tarries, it'll probably be 12 the next time. And she'll show you no evidence or proof, and you'll just be recanting and restating falsehoods with no evidence.
Yeah.
All right. And then lastly, I think this is a great way to end it. This is a great podcast. Thanks so much, man. This was a lot of fun.
Someone's asking if I know Matt Tardio. Yes, I do know
yeah.
Matt. He's a friend, and I love his show and love the stuff he puts out too. So, yep.
Okay, I'm sorry. If
it wasn't a super chat, it was just in the. Okay. It was just over in the chat.
On the chat side, it's hard for me to see these. It is hard over time. I don't know why 7,000, man. Why not make it 750? Why not 1867? I don't know. Ask Candace. I think it
has to do with they took what the 30 pieces of silver would be like with
really
a day, and that would be like 7,000. So yeah, I think that's
what it is.
Yeah, I think that's where they came up with it. It's super clever. These people are the smartest people out there. They're coming up with the great stuff. So
okay, you know what? I'm gonna give them a hat tip for that. That was okay. If that's what it is, that is kind of neat. But guess what? You still won't do any research on Candace. You've done more research on this false and phony narrative about videos being created, and you haven't asked her for that 920 builder email because you know that's what your boy wants. Get me that email.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. Now I want to go look that up. Goose came back. I bet she's losing her ish today, given the fact that Walsh, Megan, and Tatum all called out her behavior last night and today. Is she going to get nasty toward them as well now? You want to put on your fortune telling hat?
Oh yeah, she's going to attack. She's going to attack them because she has to. That's the only way that this is what she does. She makes a claim, and then someone pushes back against that claim, and then now she becomes a victim because they're attacking her for this claim. And then that also, in some weird way, justifies the reality of the claim that she was making because they're attacking her for it. It's like, no, you just said something stupid and insane, and we're telling you that you said something stupid and insane. Like, if you hadn't have said that, we wouldn't be saying anything to you right now. You know? Like
the Egyptian plane, the UTC.
Yeah.
That was probably the most classic example. Besides the fact that the plane following another plane is insane. The fact that you got the date wrong, the time wrong, that's not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is you're saying a plane is following another plane around the U.S. like an old school taxi chase movie.
Right.
That's the crazy part. But no, I personally believe that tomorrow, because that Barry Weiss video comes out, she's going to be losing her mind. She's going to be apoplectic all day tomorrow. She's going to be on Twitter going crazy. Because, Monday is TPUSA is supposed to be addressing all the questions, and she can't live stream it. She's not going to be able to dual stream it. Please forgive me. So there's going to be that level of dissatisfaction that she's not going to be able to capitalize on it, because that's going to be a big day for TPUSA.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure now she's got Matt. I don't think Tatum really said anything that was of value. I'm just going to say that. My name is Jason. I haven't heard everything that Megan says, but I'm going to say maybe Matt might be on the chopping block. I'm pretty sure Tim Poole is going to say something bombastic over the weekend. Nick Fuentes is going to say. She's just playing basically social media whack-a-mole for the next week. She's
making money off of all this too, because it's all engagement. So like when Nick Fuentes quote posts her, one of her posts, they're both making a ton of money off of this because of all the involvement that's happening. So it's all theater.
It is all theater. Well, brother, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time today to hang out with us. Y'all, thank y'all so much to the best live chat on the internet. It looks like you had a good little show, a great show, actually, of people on X. My goodness, man. You had 1,200 people on X.
Yeah.
Shout out for sure.
My ex-followers are pretty awesome, not gonna lie.
There we go. All right, somebody just said this. What did they say this? Look at Andrew Colvett video just posted. Oh, my gosh. I want Andrew Colvett to speak about, because Candace was on somebody's show. I think his name is Jimmy. Somebody. She was on somebody's podcast today, and she was basically recanting all the lies that she's been telling about, bullets and emails and texts and all this kind of stuff like that with no evidence, just talking. Mm-hmm. I want somebody to push back on that, but it was long, so I can't do that tonight. But I'm trying to see what it said. Look at Andrew Colvett video just posted. Okay, you got a second to look at it?
I don't. I got to run. But
okay. Get out of here, brother. Well,
appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
On. It was fun.
You're more than welcome. Whenever you want to, come back on through.
I will do it. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Take care. Yeah. Grace and peace. Y'all, that was Green Beret nap time. Y'all put GBNT up in the chat. Now, real quick, I am going to see what this is. Man, I got Megyn Kelly popped up right when I clicked over here. Man, that is crazy. Now I got her video in my queue. Let me pull this in, because then I can do Megyn Kelly. Then I'll pull back around and find spin the block and find Mr. Colvett. All right. So people have been saying Megyn Kelly gave her that work, huh? All right. Let's see what Megyn says, and then we'll come back around and find the Andrew Colvett. So shout out for sure. Thank you so much. We're going to green heart in the chat when we can hear.
And let me tell you something.
Uh-oh. She said, let me tell you something. She already sound mad. Let's see what Megyn gonna tell us something. I wanna be back on Team Megyn. Let's see. All right, green hearts in the chat when y'all can hear.
So I'd love to know where things stand with that piece of the investigation. But because I am a sane person who understands the law, I also know that the FBI, does not run around updating its investigation and releasing the very latest on what they found. And people who are demanding that the FBI or DOJ do so do not know anything about law enforcement.
Say her name.
Some of us have been covering in depth legal cases and matters and have even tried cases and matters for years.
Say her name.
That is how I have spent the past 30 years of my life. Plus, trying cases involved in the legal system as a trial attorney, then a Supreme Court correspondent covering cases, civil and criminal, then as a legal correspondent for Fox News, legal commentator for Fox News, and ever thereafter. And let me tell you something. The FBI does not run around updating its information after somebody gets indicted. It doesn't. It would be extraordinary if it were to do so. And the DOJ is extremely tight-lipped. Normally, on its criminal cases. When it's not, it's behaving inappropriately. When it's not, you have rogue prosecutors who wasn't with the DOJ, Tish James, but like her, the Attorney General of New York, running around trying to update her case against Donald Trump, or Fannie Willis shooting her mouth off about Donald Trump. What did we do when those prosecutors did that? We ripped them a new one because it's inappropriate. Stop requesting or requiring the FBI or the DOJ to update its evidence for you.
Okay, look, let me tell you something. I'm getting my passport. I'm ready to become Team Megyn again. I'm ready to, come back to Megyn. Okay. My only problem, the only reason I haven't gone to TSA to get my passport stamp, customs to get my passport stamp, is she has not used that woman's name. Say her name. She's not doggone Boogie Monster. Just say her name. That's it. All right. But okay, Megyn, okay, I got my passport. I'm ready.
Not the target audience. They're trying to preserve the integrity of this case for when they get it in front of a jury, who are the only people who matter. I'm sorry, but their opinion is the only opinion that's going to matter in this case. And they will come to that opinion based on evidence that gets submitted to them that passes the rules of evidence, which are there to maintain the integrity of a case and an investigation and of the defendant's constitutional rights. That's how our system works. That's how our system works. stop demanding that the FBI update you. That's not how it works, and it would be inappropriate for them to come out and shoot off their mouths about the latest and greatest they have, unless and until they are ready to arrest somebody else. And when they are, if they are, on Transtifa, we're all ears. Then they will provide some basic modicum of evidence to support the arresting affidavit, the arrest indictment. That's how this works. By the way, criminal prosecutors have an ethical obligation not to spout off about their evidence in the case. We actually pulled this this morning, just in case you were wondering. Rule 3.8 of the ABA model rules restricts prosecutors from making extrajudicial statements that heighten public condemnation. Remember when Fani Willis did that about Donald Trump
at the church.
And his defense lawyers too, like spouting off about how race was at issue in this case?
If you're familiar, that was her initial, when she first got the case and first found out about Nathan Wade and all that, she ran to a church here in Atlanta. It's called Big Bethel AME Church. And I swear I said they do spiritual money laundering, where they will try to clean up your perspective or clean up your image. And that's exactly what happened. So shout out to Megan. Megan, you're making me want to come back and be cool with you, Megan. Are you going to say her name, though? That's what I need.
It was completely inappropriate. And we argued that correctly at the time. So I don't know how we've spun from that into we're allowed to spew conspiracy theories about the case because the FBI is not saying anything. That's just backwards. It's not true, okay? It's not. The rules are the same in all the cases, including this one. Now, here's what happened in court. Tyler Robinson went in there charged with aggravated murder and felony use of a firearm, as well as other charges.
All right. Okay. Ooh, Megan was mad, y'all. Megan was mad. Y'all, who done made Megan upset like this? Why y'all? I need to find that video you told me to find. All right. Who done made Megan mad like this? Y'all, I found out who it is that she doesn't want to call out, though. I did find the picture of the person that Megan refused to call out. Let me bring it up on stage for you. All right, there we go right there. There we go right there. All right, you said Andrew Colvett. You said it was on old Andy Colvett's channel. Let's see. Andrew Colvett. All right, let's see what he said here. What we got here. Oh, okay. All right. So anyway, this is who it is that y'all don't want to say their name. So I don't know who it is. I don't say her name. All right. So they're doing some lip reading. It's only like 2 minutes long. Let me bring it in so we can check it out. Get that out of here, Jason. Bring this in. Here we go. All right. Got to get this down. Thank you so much, Amethyst Angel, for the very kind, $50 super. I'm wondering if Erica's being advised not to speak her name. I suspect there could be legal complications, and she has been advised not to speak anybody's name. I mean, that could be true. That could be true. Could it be the guardrail to implementing civil suits? Any legal scholars in here? Shout out. Thank you so much. I don't think I've heard her mention the name, but every time the name is mentioned, it's from a host. That's interesting. I can see that. Here, let's see what this is about. Charlie Kirk murder suspect said he thinks about the shooting every day. Lip reader. Okay. Take this with a grain of salt. Green hearts in the chat when you can hear. I think about the shooting daily, every morning, all the time. So he had a wife, just smoking a lot, not sleeping at night. It's driving me mental. Unfortunately, it's doing my head in. Hold on, Unfortunately, it's doing my head in. I'm not good for anything. How do you know that? Ugh. Yeah. My mother goes away to see friends, to be away from the media, which makes sense. what I would like to do is make it as easy as possible by answering all of their questions so there is no comeback. Okay. I needed to run it by you. What does that mean? Can you beg? I'd like you to. What? How about you? You clearly know what you have to do. I'd like to say it'd be incredible, but is it too late? Would you say that would be going too far? How does he can read that, man? I think he was way over the top, and why inclined to say he didn't talk about it. As I don't understand what this conversation is. It was so bad. Yeah, I'd push early. I mean, you've got him. I think all it sounds intelligible. Impossible? Really? I give up. I got a lead on it. I can't exhaust it. All right. So, okay. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like I don't fully understand what he's talking about and what they're going back and forth about, so I don't know. But okay, I'll take it. Real quick, shout out to everybody who's jumped into the best live chat on the internet. Thank y'all so much for hitting that like button. I appreciate y'all hopping in with us tonight. Amethyst Angel, thank you so much for the very kind the $50 super. You'll be the stream sponsor. Absolutely. The media had an accidental hot mic. Thank you for the 2. I agree. I don't know fully if they were supposed to, but shout out. Let me go ahead and make Amethyst the Angel the stream sponsor. Before our guest, Green Beret Nap Time, came on, we were looking at Matt Walsh. So let's finish that up. And it's almost finished. So let's bring that in and we can kind of check that out. He's Matt Walsh again. Like we got Megyn Kelly saying her piece. We got Matt now saying his piece. Maybe we will watch Brandon. I don't know. Let's go.
Told her that in our private conversations. I won't and would never say anything about the content of those conversations except that we've had them. But many millions of other people in the general public have come to believe these theories, and there are plenty of other people online who are pushing them, which means that there's a conversation to be had with the general public as well, which is what I want to do today. If you're in that camp, if you're someone who believes that Charlie's death was the result of some kind of vast conspiracy implicating foreign governments, our own government, TPUSA, I ask you to listen to what I have to say. I'm not going to insult or condemn you. I'm just going to tell you plainly that I think you're wrong and why. Guilt is established through evidence, and the evidence, all of the evidence, points in one direction. Which isn't to say that there aren't unanswered questions, and it's not even to dismiss the possibility of a conspiracy. There may indeed be a conspiracy of sorts, but it's a conspiracy, if there is one, among left-wing militants in Utah. I'll get to all of that. I just ask that you listen. And we'll start with the evidence, and here it is. DNA recovered at the crime scene from a screwdriver, as well as a towel that was wrapped around the rifle used in the shooting, both match Tyler Robinson. His DNA was also found on the trigger of the rifle. This is evidence that mathematically excludes any other suspect. It's also evidence that is subject to independent testing by the defense team and which the state crime lab has reviewed separately from the FBI. It's evidence that, even if it were the only evidence, would likely be enough to convict anyone in any court. But it's not the only evidence. Now, additionally, in a text message after the shooting, Robinson said that he wanted to take out Charlie Kirk because he's been spreading hate. He also wrote a note saying, I have the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and I'm going to take it. The FBI has a photograph of that note. Now, hearing all this, you might say, well, I don't trust the FBI. Maybe they faked the text messages. Maybe they planted the DNA. And it's certainly not unreasonable to distrust the FBI, generally speaking. After all, we've been lied to so many times about virtually everything from Russiagate to COVID to George Floyd to the assassination attempt in Butler and so on. The FBI, as an institution, historically, has very little credibility. But here's the thing. The case does not hinge on the credibility of the FBI, not even close. Tyler Robinson's father and mother both recognized their son in the surveillance images from UVU's cameras. Robinson's father also recognized the rifle as the same type of rifle that had been given to his son as a gift. But Robinson didn't provide a photo of the rifle when his father requested one after the shooting. He didn't tell his parents where the rifle was. He also didn't deny committing the crime when his parents asked about it. Nor did Robinson say that the FBI had faked the surveillance images somehow as a way of setting him up as a patsy. And even if you respond to that by saying, well, none of that is true, his parents didn't actually recognize him or turn him in. Well, if that were the case, then the parents who are alive today, you would think would be out in front of cameras every single day, shouting to the heavens that their son is innocent. And they are not doing that. Now, instead, when Tyler was asked why he had killed Charlie, he wondered aloud about whether he should kill himself and stated that Charlie was responsible for spreading evil. And then before going to the sheriff's office, Robinson also posted this message to a group of his friends on Discord, quote, "It was me at UVU yesterday. I'm sorry for all of this." So we have 3 confessions here, one to his parents, one to his roommate, and one on Discord. And the confessions were not obtained by the FBI or coerced in an interrogation room or anything like that. Robinson turned himself in at a sheriff's office, not an FBI field office. A retired deputy sheriff and family friend brought him there. Those local sheriffs were the ones who took the first statements from Robinson's parents, which identified Robinson as the shooter and provided the motive. In literally any other case, for literally any other defendant, if there is DNA evidence and a confession, they will be convicted. And to say that this kind of evidence is not enough, indeed to say that this evidence doesn't even point vaguely to the suspect, is to essentially say that guilt can never be proven in a court of law. And by the way, a police officer at Utah Valley University was the first person to identify where the shooter was located. The FBI was not on the scene at the time. This officer immediately identified where the shot had come from, and he ran to the sniper's nest. According to charging documents, which were prepared by Utah's county attorney, quote, "At the moment of the shot, a UVU police officer was watching the crowd from an elevated vantage point. As soon as he heard the shot, he began to scan the area for threats. Believing the shot came from a rifle because of its sound, he looked for potential sniper positions. He noted a roof area approximately 160 yards away from Mr. Kirk as a potential shooting position and rushed there to look for evidence. When the UVU officer arrived at the position, he, quote, noticed markings in the gravel rooftop consistent with a sniper having lain on the roof, impressions in the gravel potentially left by the elbows, knees, and feet of a person in a prone shooting position. Police reviewed surveillance from the camera covering the roof and discovered that it recorded an individual dressed in dark clothing crossing the railing from the public walkway and drop onto the roof at approximately 12:15 p.m. After a short time, which
I just think it's very interesting. Matt is doing nothing more than reading the charging documents and just being honest with the charging documents. And I'm just wondering, why did Candace not do this? Why does Candace not, again, all he's doing is just reading the charging docs. Why not talk about this instead of this fantastical, planes, trains, and automobiles story that she's telling? Why not just read the charging docs?
matches the known time of the shot, the individual arose and ran across the roof to the northeast. This discovery led to an intensive review of UVU surveillance recordings to attempt to track and identify the suspect. Now, notably, this UVU police officer, an unlikely participant in a grand FBI conspiracy by any measure, did not think a mysterious second shooter on a grassy knoll had taken the shot. He zeroed in on the shooting location right away. They checked the cameras, and the cameras provided images of the shooter climbing the steps, who was then identified by his parents. There's also the fact that, according to a former coworker, Robinson always walked around with his fists clenched, Now, this is not the kind of evidence that would convict Robinson on its own, obviously. It's circumstantial. It's not hard evidence. But we have hard evidence, and we have circumstantial evidence. So both the hard evidence and the circumstantial evidence point in one direction. This is from the New York Post, quoting an electrician that Tyler Robinson worked with. Quote, Tyler walked around with clenched fists all the time, like super hard clenched fists. I remember making a joke to him one time when he had his fists like that. I was like, "Are you angry, Tyler?" And he was like, "That's just what I do." He was always soft-spoken, but his fists were always like that. He said, even in the security footage from UVU, you can see he's got his fists clenched tight. And here is that security footage. So that detail from an independent witness is obviously incriminating. So is the fact that after the shooting, Robinson didn't answer his phone or show up to work. Quote, I was shocked when I heard the news yesterday. I was like, it can't be that Tyler. So I called my old coworker at Wild Electric and I was like, hey, did Tyler show up to work today? He was like, no, he was supposed to, but maybe he's at a different site. And I was like, dude, I think Tyler was the one who did the shooting. And he didn't believe me. The man said, adding to his that his subsequent phone call to Robinson went straight to voicemail. Now, in no uncertain terms, the evidence against Tyler Robinson, which comes from multiple independent sources, which is both hard evidence and circumstantial evidence, is overwhelming. I mean, it's easily enough for a reasonable jury to convict him 10 times over. By contrast, the alleged evidence implicating the U.S. military, foreign assassins with their personal cell phones, Egyptian Air Force planes, Turning Point USA, the French Foreign Legion, that evidence,
and bees.
Actual evidence, is non-existent. It's not that there aren't any weird details about that day or about some of the people tangentially connected to the event, which you could point to, but there are two important points about those weird details. First of all, a lot of those details are based on hearsay and anonymous reports, so you have no way to know if they're even true. But second, even if they're all true, even if it's true, even if it's all true, even if it's true that Egyptian planes have been following Erica Kirk around and everything else, they do not constitute any kind of evidence at all. You could take any murder that has ever happened in the history of the world, look at all of the stuff surrounding it, and all of the people connected in some way to it, and point to any number of weird things. But there's a reason why no competent defense attorney would ever try to get his client off the hook simply on the basis that weird stuff happened on the same day that the murder happened. That is not exculpatory. That is not evidence of anything except that weird things happen.
Weird things happen.
And in that very important respect, the conspiracy theory claims are the exact opposite of the witness testimony and DNA evidence that will be presented at Robinson's trial, all of which will be subjected to cross-examination and independent testing. None of the weird details presented by conspiracy theorists, on the other hand, constitute evidence even remotely. And more to the point, the conspiracy theories make less sense of these facts than the so-called quote-unquote official narrative does. So the conspiracy theorists are positing random circumstantial points as evidence of a theory that itself does a worse job of explaining the points than the theory they're trying to debunk. All of the weird details, again, assuming they're all true, which we can't assume, actually make the conspiracy theory less plausible, not more. If this whole thing was the work of powerful actors at the highest levels of government across the world who plotted, planned, and carried it out, it would be much cleaner. And there would be far fewer weird details for people on the internet to home in on. For example, the conspiracy theories suggest that various powerful governmental forces across the globe conspired to kill Charlie Kirk. And rather than just having him die mysteriously in his home of a heart attack or a suicide, which they could have easily arranged, or sniping him while he checked the mail one day and making sure the assassin was never found, which they also could have arranged, they decided to carry out this plot on stage, on camera, using Robinson as a patsy, who they allowed to be captured alive for some inexplicable reason, when they could have just made it a murder-suicide and tied up the loose ends. And on top of all that, we're told that they used the wrong ammunition in the official story. We'll get to that in a second. Along with leaving a trail of various other breadcrumbs that the internet could follow. And on top of that, they somehow convinced Robinson's own parents to go along with this charade, persuading them to offer their innocent son up to be executed, or at least to tolerate him being offered up, while also allowing them to stay alive to tell their tale if they ever choose to.
Well, I mean, when you say it like that, Matt, I mean, that sounds preposterous. Well, I mean, when you say it that way, of course, that sounds ludicrous.
You know, there have been many mass shootings where the shooter kills his family members before turning his gun on the public and then himself. That's an established pattern with these kinds of things. The hypothetical conspirators could have, and obviously would have, arranged all of that in this case, tidily closing the loop and getting rid of anyone who could blow the whistle. Indeed, the whole reason why everybody, I think, rightly assumes that Epstein didn't kill himself is that we know that powerful conspirators aren't just going to leave somebody alive to blow the lid on the whole thing. Now, admittedly, I'm speaking hypothetically about what these government assassins would do, but the conspiracy theorists are also speaking hypothetically, and I'm saying that the facts on the ground don't match their hypothetical at all. A theory is not just an educated guess. A theory, in a scientific sense, is a system meant to explain the facts we observe. We observe objects falling to the ground when we drop them. Gravity is the theory, the system that explains that fact. This is why we say theories should be predictive. They should have predictive power. A theory should predict what we observe in reality. So if you listen to somebody explain the theory of gravity, you would predict based on that theory that things would fall to the ground when you drop them. And what do you know? They do. But the conspiracy theory surrounding Charlie's assassination does not make sense of or predict any of the details that it was designed to explain. If you didn't know anything about Charlie or his murder and somebody told you the conspiracy theory, they told you the tale of militaries, intelligence agencies, multi-million-dollar organizations conspiring to kill this man in a highly coordinated, well-funded scheme carried out by specialized and highly trained killers, you would have in your head a picture of this case that would not even slightly resemble the reality. And when you finally read up on the case itself and the actual real-life details, you would be utterly shocked to see the clumsiness, the weirdness, the apparent inconsistencies, and most especially, you would be shocked that all of the people who are being used as patsies in this murder are somehow left alive. You would be shocked that Charlie's murder very much resembles, in every way, the work of an untrained radical whack job and not the work of nefarious global elites. Now, you could argue that nefarious global elites would want it to look like the work of an untrained radical whack job. But the whole reason you formulated this theory is because you say it doesn't look like the work of an untrained radical whack job, even though it does. So your theory collapses in on itself. It eats its own tail. And on that point, we need to talk about one specific insinuation which comes up quite often and which the conspiracy theorists are hanging much of their theory on, which is that Robinson's rifle may not have killed Charlie Kirk because a bullet from that rifle would have decapitated him. Now, this is an insinuation that claims to rely on actual scientific evidence, so it's worth discussing in some detail. Again, even if it's true that the ammunition doesn't match the type of injury Charlie sustained, that inconsistency makes even less sense under the theory that this was all plotted by militaries and governments. Right. Would they not have known this fact about the ammunition?
Good catch.
Is it even plausible that they would make that kind of mistake? But we're supposed to believe this claim about the rifle because of the demonstrations like this one, which Candace presented on her show recently. Watch.
Well, we definitely penetrated our water jugs, and I don't think this is going to help to stop the conspiracy theories. His head fell off.
Look at that. I mean, watch that.
All right, guys. I figured this is probably what would happen. I was trying to remain optimistic, but that right there is why people are skeptical on the official story. The 30-06 is a very hard round to stop.
Yeah, so I wanted to show that because I realized there's a bunch of people who may not be gun enthusiasts. Obviously, that channel is dedicated to it. And just so you understand and really appreciate what the federal government is trying to sell to you right now. That's what we mean when we say that particular bullet would have decapitated Charlie. Like you see, like actually, it just the idea that that just like ricocheted and went inward is just so beyond ridiculous. It's insulting.
One of the many obvious problems here is that this demonstration does not account for any of the actual variables of the assassination beyond the round that was used.
Right.
And the most important missing variable is that the actual shooter was at an elevated position, roughly 40 feet above the ground. He shot Charlie at an angle, and they don't account for that in any way in this demonstration. Take a look at this diagram that was uploaded by Phoenix Ammunition, which is a credible source on the topic because they manufacture precision ammo. And the blue line is the bullet trajectory that they assess as plausible. It gives you an idea of how the bullet may have deflected once it hits Charlie's spine. And if you've ever gone hunting, you know how often this kind of thing happens. A powerful round, particularly if it's shot at an angle, will often deflect off bone, sending fragments downward into the body. But if you watch that demonstration, which doesn't remotely mirror the actual conditions of the shooting, you're led to believe that this is physically impossible. You're told that it's far more likely that a second unknown shooter actually shot Charlie with a completely different weapon, which for the third time, if the conspiracy theories are true, it wouldn't make any sense for the conspirators to carry out the assassination that way. Now, you can come up with various reasons why so many people, and there are millions of them, are tempted to buy into this. Now, part of it may be ignorance or unfamiliarity with firearms and other basic scientific evidence. Some of it may be latent frustration or resentment towards Turning Point USA. Some of it may be a desire for catharsis, to lash out blindly at the establishment. A good part of it may be related to the same reason true crime shows are popular, especially with women. It can be intoxicating for people to believe fictional narratives about real world events. It makes you feel like a detective, someone who's privy to knowledge that most people aren't. It's a way to make sense of events that are horrifying and disturbing, even if those events at a factual level aren't complicated. You know, compare the popularity of the highly fictionalized Making a Murderer Netflix show with the various attempts to debunk it, including Candace's own well-made documentary on the subject. It's not even close. You know, the wild theorizing is often far more entertaining than the sober reality. That's especially true now in an era of extremely low trust in institutions. When the government has proven that it's willing to lie again and again, wild theorizing starts to seem rational. No one wants to believe the official narrative because the official narrative so often is false. We elected this government to address the problem. We elected them to restore faith in law enforcement and the rest of America's institutions. And frankly, that hasn't happened. So there is distrust. And distrust is understandable, but distrust is not evidence of an alternative theory. And crucially, again, you do not need to trust the FBI or the federal government to recognize Tyler Robinson's very obvious guilt. Now, with that said, there are, as I alluded to, unanswered questions. And those unanswered questions, in my opinion, may even lead to a conspiracy. But not one that involves TPUSA or the Trump administration or any of the people or organizations who have so far been implicated. And as for those questions, here they are. Question 1. Why did somebody write on September 3rd, a week before the shooting, quote, "It would be funny if someone like Charlie Kirk got shot on September 10th, LMAO." That is a real post on X. It was unearthed by the account Aesthetica. It's legitimate. Did that person have advanced knowledge of the shooting? It certainly seems like they did. It's especially alarming because, as Cassandra McDonald of Gateway Pundit has pointed out, the username of that post is Tally Hall Album, and Tyler Robinson, coincidentally enough, had a publicly visible playlist of songs by the band Tally Hall on Spotify. Additionally, the shooter's trans furry boyfriend, McDonald reported, was active on the Tally Hall subreddit. Now, there were several other posts along those lines. Another post read, Charlie Kirk is coming to my college tomorrow. I really hope someone evaporates him literally. Let's just say something big will happen tomorrow. Additionally, days before the shooting, somebody else indicated that something big was coming soon. And then after the shooting, the author wrote, well, that's that. And another chud bites the dust. Then there's this one. It's from shortly after the shooting. A trans-identifying individual who is followed by Lance Twiggs on TikTok wrote, we effing did it. Now, whatever happened to those people? The FBI says they investigated them. What did they uncover? Were they cleared? If so, how? And there's a clear public interest in answering that question. It wouldn't interfere with Tyler Robinson's trial. So what's the answer? And while we're at it, why did Robinson text his gay furry lover, quote, remember how I was engraving bullets? Now, how is it possible that the roommate, Lance Twiggs, would see Robinson engraving bullets, but not have any idea why he was engraving them? Did he see him engraving messages like, hey, fascist, catch? Did he ask why his roommate was engraving bullets? Would that not send up a million red flags? What possible innocent reason could a person ever have for engraving a bullet? Well, we have no idea. And as far as we know, Twiggs has gone missing. Nobody seems to know where he is. So where is he? And has he actually been cleared of any wrongdoing or foreknowledge of this attack? And what is the group Armed Queers Salt Lake City? And why did they scrub their entire social media presence immediately after the shooting? Now, these are legitimate questions that, for all I know, the government will answer during Robinson's trial. But I think they should address some of these issues now. Even if they have to leak the information through unofficial sources, transparency is obviously necessary. Now, as of now, there is actually a case to be made for a conspiracy, but it doesn't involve the Egyptian Air Force or the French Foreign Legion. It involves the people who were predicting the attack on the internet before it happened. The leftist freaks on the internet who seemingly had foreknowledge of the attack. It involves the coordinated attacks by leftists on law enforcement over the past several months. It involves the people, leftist militants, who have been committing acts of political violence all over the country for years, and who had all of the motive and all of the incentive to kill Charlie Kirk. There is one group and one group only that has actually benefited from Charlie's assassination and that ever had a chance of benefiting, and that is the militant left.
Say that part again.
Now, on the other hand, the group that has been harmed the most by far, and that could only be harmed by this, is TPUSA. Which means that along with there being no evidence at all to implicate them, they also don't have any discernible motive. And that includes, most obviously and especially, Erica Kirk. And on that note, I want to say this about Erica. I'd only met Erica maybe once or twice prior to Charlie's death. After he was killed, of course, I reached out to her. And we spoke briefly on the phone. Again, I'm not going to go into detail about the content of a private conversation, except to say that Erica, who had just lost her husband in the most shocking way imaginable, spent most of our conversation trying to encourage me and tell me how much I meant to Charlie, as I tried desperately to deflect the conversation back to her, the person who mattered. She's the grieving widow with children who at that point still didn't even know that their father was dead. And yet here she was on the phone, through her tears, through the very deep and clear and audible anguish and pain in her voice, still trying to be gracious and encouraging to somebody else, some guy she barely knew. And it was clear to me then, and has become all the more clear to me since, as I've gotten to know her more, that this is somebody with an immense amount of strength and courage. So when people look at Erica and say, she's acting strange, I've never seen a grieving person act this way. Well, I agree. She's an exceptional person in an extraordinary situation, handling it with remarkable poise and dignity. That is a virtue. And virtue is a strange thing in our day. And even if she were not an impressive person, she would still be a grieving widow. She would still be my friend's wife. And I would still feel duty bound to support her as I have over these past 3 months in ways both public and not. So what I am asking everybody, including Candace,
Okay, he says
is to
names.
please leave this woman alone. Let her grieve. Let her pick up the pieces of her shattered life in whatever way she sees fit. She deserves that grace. And we owe it to her, not because of any specific debt, not because we have no right to question her. Of course, we do have the right. But we have a moral obligation as children of our Heavenly Father to be charitable and kind towards suffering widows, especially the widow of a man that all of us on the right say that we respected and admired. All told, the tragic reality is that 3 months after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the leftists who want us dead are more emboldened than ever. They are thrilled. And that was always the worst possible outcome. It's a trajectory that, if it continues, could destroy not only what Charlie built, but also what's left of the conservative movement, a movement that is the only thing standing between Western civilization and the forces that wish to tear it down brick by brick. That's the reason sociopaths like Tyler Robinson are smiling right now. They know they're winning, and we cannot let them, which means we all must return to the facts, to the truth, and our defense of it, which is the mission that Charlie lived for and died for. We cannot let it die with him.
Wait, applause. You know what? I gotta give Matt some love for that. That was good. I gotta give him double. Hold on, give him again. I gotta give him that. That was good. Okay, all right. Now Matt definitely won me back over. I'm back. I can rock with Matt again now. I can get down with Matt. Matt, Megan, maybe I got to see a little bit more. But Matt, that was great. That was excellent. I got nothing to say, nothing to add to that. That was outstanding. What do we have here? TPUSA deleting Charlie Kirk would be equal to the Chicago Bulls deleting Michael Jordan. Utterly absurd. Thank you so much, Grim Princess, for the very kind, super, and a very keen analogy right there. I mean, what would be the purpose of that? What would be the purpose? Make it make sense. And I think Matt did a good job of like letting the air out the tires of those theories and really making it make sense. Like, this thing doesn't make any sense at all. Shout out to Matt. I will give him a lot of grace for that. I like that one. That was, whoever told me about that one, shout out for you. I don't think I'm gonna listen to Brandon Tatum, because he really does, in my opinion, he doesn't make any effort to fix any of the ills that he's done. I'm sorry. I don't think he did. So I'm not gonna worry about that. So I'm not worried about Brandon Tatum. Like I said, Matt, shout out to you. I like what Matt said. I like a lot of what Megan said. I wouldn't mind her calling Candace out by name, but that's just my biggest issue. Brandon Tatum, I'm not gonna worry about that. I'm gonna leave that alone. I clipped out the video and sent it to my editor, but I don't think I'm gonna worry about it tonight, at least, because I don't think he's really serious, in my opinion. Based upon information and belief, I don't think Brandon Tatum is serious about really bringing light to the situation. But, let me know what y'all think about it for sure. I do want to give a couple of quick things real quick. Thank y'all to, you guys came through tonight. There were so many of you all, whether you're over on Green Beret Nap Times channel. I love that name. Green Beret Nap Times channel, or over here. Shout out to all of y'all. Thank y'all so much for tapping in. If you could, just go ahead and make sure you hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. I mean, I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of April. I would love to do it before then. This weekend, I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of shenanigans going on this weekend. The goal is to probably do a live stream on Sunday, but it is not going to be related to Candace. Unless something big happens, unless something big pops up, we might just do some body cams. I got some fun body cams. Just have some body cam time, laugh, and have a good time. Just get some of the candy out the system. So there might be a candy detox night on Sunday, because I'm pretty sure next week is just going to be, it's going to be crazy next week, because I just got this feeling, the way that she moves and operates, going into the Christmas holiday. People not going to be talking. People not going to be live streaming, over Christmas. So next week is going to be hot and popping. So why not? And next week starts AmFest. So why not get out here and really act a fool? I think Monday's going to be crazy because TPUSA, and then of course Erica's interview on Saturday. There's going to be just all kinds of stuff. So I appreciate all of y'all for that. What do we have here? Hold on 1 second. Thank you so much, Kristen Jean, right here with the $2. Listen to what do you mean? I see it right here. Man, somebody's already sent it to me, and I was like, it is looking like a long video. I love John over at What Do You Mean? And I like that he has the, let me pull it back up. Sorry. I closed it out. In the chat real quick. Y'all want to watch What Do You Mean with us? In the chat. It's okay. Like, y'all just comment. Let me know. Did he do it as a live stream? Oh, I guess it's not as long as I thought it was. Sorry. Is it only 12 minutes? Yeah, it's just 12 minutes. He just dropped it. All right, in the chat. Let me know if y'all want to watch it. We'll pull it in. We'll do it, Christelle. We'll do it. What does Goose say here? I sent you an email titled Tyler Robinson video. There's 2 links you might want to play for the true crime podcast who goes over the docs and Google mapping and timelines. All right, let me pull in. Erica will be framed. Oh, wait, this is not the one I was looking at. Okay, so there's actually 2 videos. I apologize. I'm just messing this whole thing up. So there's 2 videos. What Do You Mean has a video with the homicide detective that we looked at before, Coldplay Christianity. And that one came out, that was last month. Okay. So this is the one that y'all are talking about, the one that Eric will be framed. Okay, that's only 12 minutes. Let me bring that in. All right. I'm going to bring it. All right, let's bring that in, and I'll check out what Goose is saying. Thank you so much for the 10. I appreciate you, love. Thank you so much. Okay, let's bring this up in here. All right, you know how we like to do. Green hearts in the chat when you can hear. Green hearts in the chat when you can hear. Let's go.
Has a big problem, and it's about to get worse. When Candace Owens first suggested that TPUSA was involved in a cover-up around Charlie Kirk's murder, most people didn't take it seriously. But just 3 months later, the tide has now turned, and now TPUSA has lost public trust. But on Monday, they're finally responding, and they've promised to set the record straight. They even challenged Candace to come debate them live in person, and a lot of people think that this is where TPUSA ends the conspiracies with facts. But I don't think that's going to happen, because the reason why Candace won so many people over in the first place had very little to do with the facts and everything to do with how she framed the conversation before the facts were ever heard. So in this video, I'm going to show you the framing tactics that Candace is using, and then I'll explain what I believe is the only approach TPUSA can take if they want to have any chance of persuading people who currently believe Candace. You see, this right here is the reason why facts alone won't matter on Monday.
There's nobody that has the capacity to get me to shut up about this except for Erica Kirk. I'm not going to stop unless Erica Kirk asks me to stop. I said early on, if Erica Kirk asks me to be quiet, I will be quiet.
But then Erica did say to stop.
Podcaster Candace Owens. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies. What do you want to say to her? Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
And instead of stopping, Candace doubled down. And the reason why she's able to get away with this is because of her framing.
Okay. I like what John is saying. And my only issue is I disagree because I don't think Candace is going to be able to maintain what he is proposing. So, all right, let's keep it going though. But I like this though. Shout out to John. And if the mods could please make sure we drop What Do You Memes link in the chat, that would be super dope.
Before Erica even sat down at Fox News, Candace has already spent months building a very specific frame. And nearly everyone who was connected to Charlie before his death was positioned as suspicious. And that matters because a frame doesn't change what people hear, it changes how they hear everything that comes after the framing. So when Erica finally spoke publicly, Candace's audience didn't hear a widow defending her team. They heard exactly the frame that she trained them to hear: guilt.
My silence does not mean that I am complacent. When you go after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this is not okay. It's not healthy. This is a duty to my husband, and it's an absolute honor, and I will never back down. And so my message to them is to stop.
This is why her audience didn't flinch when Candace described Erica's interview like this.
Whoa! Whoa! Erica Kirk shuts down the No, she didn't even respond to one of the conspiracies. She gave us emotion. This is why there are many people who do not believe that women are equipped to lead companies, because what you are watching here is an unbelievably emotional response that is absent of any logic.
Okay, now for someone who isn't primed to distrust her, Erica's anger is exactly what she said it was. Genuine frustration with Candace for insinuating that the people that she knows and loves were in on it, and how that's now undermining decades of work that her husband gave his life to build. But Candace's audience wasn't hearing Erica, they were hearing the frame. If Erica is emotional, she's hiding something. And if she's calm, she doesn't care, which means that she's hiding something. And if she pushes back against Candace, she's defensive, which means that she's hiding something. And if
So I understand. I completely agree with John. There is just one little caveat, one little snippet, a small little nugget that I feel like he's not taking into consideration. Candace's audience is not that big that is ultimately rocking with her indefinitely. There's a lot of people who just have questions. There's a lot of people who are just like, something isn't right. This lady is talking about stuff that's not right. Let me see what she's talking about. She's saying that the widow did it. That doesn't make sense. That's silly. But they're not. They believe that there's some questions that are not being answered, which I think most of us do. And therefore, they're like, well, Candace is at least asking questions. Let me rock with her. But they're not committed to her. There's Cantifa folk. Those people you're not going to deal with. It's the logical people. A lot of people, after watching yesterday Tyler Robinson, they probably said, oh, okay, let me go find these charging documents because Candace never read them. Let me go read those. And now they've left the Candace compound. A lot of people who heard Matt Walsh probably left the Candace compound. So I don't think that her draw is as strong on just the average, if you want to call them the independents, so to speak. She needs to dyed in the wool people. Those are the people who are the Cantifa folk, they're done. But the middle of the road, those people that are like, I just got some questions. I just want to know something that don't seem right. Those people right there, I think those are the people that John is not factoring in. But let's go.
she doesn't push back against Candace and she stays silent, that also means that she's hiding something. And meanwhile, Candace's own emotional arguments never register as manipulation because she never framed herself as someone that you should distrust. So on Monday, the same framing is gonna apply to TPUSA. If anyone shows sadness, anger, or moral conviction, Candace will interpret it, and her audience will hear it, as emotional manipulation or the lack of self-control, just like how she did with Tim Pool, for example. That's why genuine emotion and the facts are not gonna save TPUSA, because their emotions are already framed as guilt. Okay, but next comes the privacy issue, and this is where Candace's framing becomes almost impossible to escape. Watch how a completely normal boundary gets reinterpreted as evidence of wrongdoing. Erica said that she only wanted to keep one thing private, and that's where Charlie was buried.
Can I have one thing? Can my babies have one thing where we hold it sacred, where my husband is laid to rest, where I don't have to be worried about some secular revolutionary coming and destroying my husband's grave while my daughter is sitting there praying?
But listen to how Candace reframed that boundary.
You want privacy when you want it, but you want publicity whenever you want it, and that just doesn't work. This is the same person who had somebody record her over Charlie Kirk's casket, and to publish his body on Instagram was a decision that was made by Erica. That is an incredibly personal and an incredibly intimate moment that you invited the public into. And now you fast forward 3 months removed, and it's why does the public want to know where he's buried? It doesn't work like that.
So for anyone that hasn't listened to Candace and adopted her framing of distrust, this is entirely reasonable. Erica doesn't want strangers with ill intent showing up at the the place where her family goes to grieve. And that's not suspicious. It seems like a normal human request. However, inside Candace's framing, any attempt at privacy becomes evidence of a cover-up. And this is exactly why Turning Point can't win on Monday by sharing facts alone, no matter how reasonable, because while the trial is still ongoing, there will always be information that they can't release. And that means...
Okay, so I like what John is saying, like I said, but he is factoring in that everybody believes Candace's story. There's a lot of people who realize that she's crazy. And so I don't think he's factored in and budgeted this into his equation, which I think he's making great points, but I do think he needs to budget that in. Let's go.
That Candace's audience will hear every withheld detail as confirmation of wrongdoing and every released detail as inconsistent or suspect. Either way, they lose. And this is where Candace's distrust framing becomes truly dangerous. Once the frame is in place, any disagreement is rewritten as proof of corruption or coordination. I mean, I'm not exaggerating when I say just about every single high-profile person that's publicly disagreed with Candace, she's implied that they're either corrupt or that they're in on it. So if you notice, pointing out Candace's errors or questioning her couldn't possibly be because she's wrong, or even because people are tired of watching her literally destroy Charlie's work and hurting other people in the process. Instead, in her framing, disagreement is seen as having nefarious motives. If you correct her facts, then you're part of the psyop. And if you challenge her logic, then you're part of the psyop. And even if you mention Candace's name in a negative way, part of the psyop. What we're left with is no scenario where criticism means Candace might be wrong. It always means that you're in on it. You're being paid by Israel and so on. This framing removes the possibility of honest disagreement, and every critic is framed as part of the conspiracy. So it's important to remember that this is how she's going to respond to any counter narratives that Turning Point is going to show. Literally, no matter what they say on Monday, it'll be framed as being part of the scripted psyop. And even if they don't respond to a lot of the claims, then it's going to be the same thing that she's been saying all along. Their silence on these facts proves that they're in on the cover-up. This frame delegitimizes every possible messenger except for Candace, which means that she doesn't have to be correct, she only has to make everyone else look compromised.
I just don't think everybody believes that.
Okay, so here's why all of this puts TPUSA at a massive disadvantage going into Monday. Candace has 3 straight months of daily content to frame TPUSA as untrustworthy, and her audience has already bought into that framing long before TPUSA decided to respond. So if they walk into Monday thinking that they can fix this with facts alone, then they're walking straight into a trap. In their announcement video, they said that they plan to expose the truth and to correct the facts that Candace got wrong. Now that sounds good in theory, but as we've already seen, people aren't believing Candace because of the facts. This means that any correction that Turning Point gives will be heard as further confirmation of guilt, not as a refutation of it. And secondly, what also makes Candace so persuasive is the fact that she often starts where her audience already has an ache, which gives them emotional buy-in to what she's saying. Whether that's distrust of the FBI after the Epstein investigation, resentment towards government cover-ups, memories of the BLM-era manipulation, and so on. Not only are these emotional touchpoints for her audience, but these are the same things that Turning Point has pointed their audience to in the past as well. So this puts her in the position where she doesn't even need to explain to people why they shouldn't trust the FBI in Charlie Kirk's case. And this is where I believe Turning Point is likely to make a mistake. By pointing to the FBI as a trusted reason for why Turning Point is innocent, clearly that is not going to be taken as credible evidence by her audience, nor a lot of the people in Turning Point's audience, which is the core problem. If Turning Point even wants a chance at reaching the people who currently agree with Candace, then they cannot start with the facts. They have to first reset the framing before they present any facts, or else everything that they say is going to be filtered through the suspicion that Candace has already built. So what should they do? Well, here's one way to reset the framing. They can reset the framing not by telling the viewers what she's doing, but showing them by doing the same thing that she's doing. They can be just as suspicious of her as she is of them. Not to accuse her of anything, but to reveal how her method works. So in theory, they could start by reframing the way that the audience sees her by asking her questions about her motives. For example, she tells us that we can't trust the FBI and implies that the reason why she couldn't go to Charlie's memorial is because they would harm or kill her.
You know, while I'm attacking the feds, maybe not going to a public event which the feds are organizing, is probably a very good idea.
And then they could ask, so why then did she reach out to them when she said that there was an assassination attempt on her life? I thought that the FBI were the ones that she believed wanted to harm her.
I report to the FBI. Of course, I reported it to the FBI.
So is she working with the FBI? I mean, after all, she did admit to having someone who's high up in the FBI, their personal phone number, and was texting them.
The FBI left me on red. And I will say I didn't go through an official channel and send an email, and I should do that. But I did send a text message to somebody very high up who received the text message.
So how do we know that she isn't the one working with the FBI to distract people away from the true killer? And also, what other reason would there be for her to say that her favorite text from Charlie that she released publicly was one where he was talking about a girl that he was in love with that wasn't Erica?
This text message is one of my favorite text messages between me and Charlie. He was just kind of in love with this girl.
Was this an attempt to enrage Erica now that Erica is the new CEO of Turning Point? I mean, just think about it. Why is it that we never seem to hear the names of Candace's sources? And why can we never verify what these sources are saying for ourselves? Is indistinguishable from someone that's making it all up and is part of a government psyop. So really the question is this: could she have used her elite status, her influence, and her FBI connections as an attempt to destroy Turning Point? After all, what sounds more logical to you? That Charlie was so dumb that he accidentally handpicked each person at Turning Point who somehow all decided to agree to conspire against them and he had no idea and even his wife is in on it? Or is it more probable that Candace is a Fed who's being used to pull people away from the official narrative? But don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that she is involved, I'm just asking questions. Okay, so you get the point. If Turning Point resets the framing from the beginning of the conversation by not only applying the same degree of skepticism and distrust to Candace, and also finds the frustration that her audience already shares, then they will give themselves the best chance of winning over Candace's fans. So we'll see how it goes, and come back here after and we'll see if I was right. And if you didn't catch my last video on the tactics that Candace uses that makes her so persuasive, go ahead and click on the video on the screen, and I'll see you over there. All right? Thanks for watching.
All right, grace and peace, John. Okay. I can get with that. But to me, I feel like that's going to be a long, I don't know. May, you know what? I'm optimistic. I'll be optimistic about that. I can kind of get with what John is saying. So shout out to John. From What Do You Mean? I appreciate it, man. That was a good one, brother. Yeah, I think that's on the money for sure. What do we have right here? M. Saunders says this with the 5, Australian. So I have been doing some homework. I found 140 different voices on YouTube from large channels to small channels, and it's all telling Candace to stop. I agree. Shout out for sure. 140 is crazy, man. That's a lot of folk, man. And she's going to still try to double down. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens on Monday. I don't know where I got Sunday from, but I appreciate it, though. Y'all, thank you so much, everybody, for rocking with us. The goal, I will, depending on if we get done with everything we're doing this weekend, I'll probably go live on Sunday evening, and we'll probably just do a fun show. Maybe just look at some body cams. I got some fun videos, some fun TikToks I've been finding. I'm sorry, fun videos on Twitter I've been finding that I think you will enjoy. So that is a tentative plan for Sunday. Tomorrow, I got some videos popping out throughout the week, so definitely want to let you check those out as well. Thank y'all so much, you all, to the very kind and very gracious super chats as well as cash apps. Thank you so very much for that. Amethyst Angel, thank you so much for being the stream sponsor. I appreciate you always, sister, for taking care and supporting the channel. Thank you to everybody who tapped in, whether you're from Green Beret Nap Time, whether you're from here. Thank you so much for watching and making my guests feel so welcome. Thank you so much for hitting the like button. If you haven't already, thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate it. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn the bells on, all that kind of good jazz. I want y'all to have a fantastic rest of the night. It's a great Friday Night Lights. Feel free to drop those green hearts in the chat. Make sure you tip your waiters on the way out the door. Thank you so much. I didn't. Darn it. You know what? Hold on. Because I thought there was a good one. There was a good. You know what? I think it's right. Let's. I did see a good. Yep, here it is right here. All right. Because all right, hold on. Did everybody hit the like? Did everybody hit the like button? Did everybody subscribe? If everybody subscribes, then I will go ahead and hit this one. What time on Monday? Okay, I don't know exactly what time. Quote me on this. I believe, Mommy, too, Kitty. I believe, don't quote me on this. They're supposed to be streaming at 4 o'clock my time here in Atlanta. So I think that's 2 o'clock in Arizona. I will double check and make sure. I'll put up a community post. Everybody will know. I'll put up the video beforehand. Okay. I mean, I'll put up the link ahead of time. So you'll know probably by tomorrow, because I'll go check and find out exactly what time. But I'll make sure you know ahead of time so you have time to pop your popcorn, get your beverage, get your comfy chair, all that kind of stuff like that. So I'll make sure that's available. I'm over here talking. I did not pull this video in. All right. Lord have mercy. Ami is just so funny to me sometimes. All right, let me pull in Ami Kozak. Make sure you hit that like button, my people. Did everybody subscribe? Did they all subscribe? Yes, it's 7 o'clock in Arizona, so it's 2 hours behind me in Atlanta. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I thought they said 2 o'clock their time, so that's 4 o'clock my time. But I'll make sure you're well aware before time. I don't know how many times I can say the word time, right? All right, y'all. All right, did they all hit? Now, wait. Oh, we got a brand new member. Shout out. We even add new members to the pack. Absolutely. Shout out for sure. Thank you, Brandy. Welcome. Becoming a brand new member. Good to have you. All right. Did they all subscribe? Are they all helping me hit my goal of 100,000 subscribers by April? Help a boy out. Let's go. Ami, what you got to say, man? Green hearts in the chat when y'all can hear.
No, I made it very clear that there's only two people who would stop me from doing this. One would be my husband, and the other is Erica Kirk.
What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now? Stop. That's it.
Face, man.
That's all I have to say. Stop.
Okay, I don't know what people are taking from this. I know what I heard when I heard her say that. I heard her say, stam. People think she said stop. I didn't hear a P. I didn't hear a P at all. I heard her say stam, which is actually a Hebrew word, which is interesting. I find that interesting. She's using Zionist coded language. Now, the word stam, if you dig deeper, actually means just kidding. Just kidding. I didn't mean that. And I find it interesting that Erica's using Zionist coded language. Why is she using Hebrew? Why is she using that? I think we all know why. So she's saying, stam, just kidding. Keep going, Candace. It's so obvious. It's so obvious, you guys. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. She's signaling to me that she wants me to continue. And if you think she actually said stop, how do we know that she wasn't just quoting stop in the name of love by the Supremes? Stop in the name of love. Before you break my heart. It's a song by the Supremes, which I find interesting. The Supremes, it's obviously about supremacy, okay? It's not a coincidence that you would name a song Stop in the Name of Love by the Supremes. And if you dig deeper into the story, the Supremes were managed by none other than, you guessed it, Shelley Berger, a.k.a. Sheldon Berger, who was... We can't say it. Oh, no. He was a Frankist. He was a Zionist. He was Jewish. You guys. Cancel Candace. Stop in the Name of Love, a song by the Supremes, which is about supremacy, which is managed by Shelley Berger. That all just feels so fake and gay. It just feels fake and gay. She's either using Zionist coded language, stam, which means just kidding, so I should keep going. I should continue. Either that, or she's referring to stop in the name of love by the Supremes about supremacy. It's just, I'm sorry, I just think none of this is real. Like, none of this is real. I don't know no, but I know no, you know? Incidentally, Charlie's last book that he came out with was called Stop in the Name of God. Stop in the name of God. It all makes sense. You guys, they think we're crazy. They think we're stupid. We're not going to fall for it, okay? Now, I want to thank all my mommy sleuths that are out there sending me tips. Keep sending me tips, because I am not going to stop, And as Erica said clearly, very clearly, to Barry Weiss, of all people, when asked about me if I should stop, Erica responded, "Stum. Just kidding." Or that simply saying stop is quoting the Supremes, and we all know what she means by that. Keep sending me tips, mommy sleuths. I'm every woman. It's only me.
Darling.
That's not the Supremes?
Shaka Khan.
But that's Shaka Khan?
Yes, dear, I love that song.
Is that about Brigitte?
Could be.
I'm coming out. Do, do. I want the world to know. Got to let it show. I love that song. What's that song?
That's Diana Ross, darling. I love that song.
You love that too?
Oh, yes, very much.
Okay.
I'm going to go out for a bit, meeting a friend.
Okay.
Oh, no. Shout out to Ami. Ami be crushing it, man. When he's on it, he is on it. Other times he be missing it sometimes, but he be on it when he's on it. Y'all, thank y'all so much for rocking with us tonight. Thank you to everybody who hung in there. Thank you so much to Green Beret Nap Time for being an excellent guest. Please make sure you go over and check him out on Twitter. He's not causing any problems, so don't worry. He's not doing anything. He's not causing any problems over on Twitter. So go check out Green Beret Nap Time. Shout out. What do we have here? Well, thank you so much. Mods, I appreciate y'all. Thank you to everybody. Even if you just tapped in and just watched, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being a part of the best live chat on the internet. Please make sure you tip your waiters on the way out the door. Make sure you hit those green hearts, flood it with green hearts, and then jump into the most electrifying live chat on the planet and just say what's up. I'm going to see you all, Lord willing, on Sunday. So until then, my good people, grace and peace. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the J-Whip Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.